is what you think it is, though. I think adoption is more or less use case and utility, it actually being used. But I don't think most banks are going to use XRP. And like MMG had stated earlier, it's about security. Banks are going to want security. People, institutional money, big players are going to want security. Retail is going to look for quick, fast, right? But the big players, they want security. And that's why I think I used to be, really bearish on Ethereum. But I'm starting to realize that Ethereum is probably going to be the one because it's the most secure and it's becoming more affordable every day. It's becoming faster as well. So unless Ripple can offer that security, I don't think that it actually gets adopted on this global scale like everyone thinks it's going to be, this global adoption of XRP. No, there will be some adoption where there are different use cases and it will be used, but it's not what you think, in my opinion.
I think to argue that Ethereum is safer than XRP is kind of a joke. I mean, I've already backtracked this. I don't like XRP. Like I said, I'll be the first person to admit other blockchains are faster. But Ethereum at the end of the day uses smart contracts, and the goal is to use XRP and not have smart contracts, because smart contracts are actually more unsafe. So even XRPL uses a unique node list, which is a UNL consensus mechanism, and it uses, trusted validators and not miners, which confirms transactions in around 3 to 5 seconds. Whereas, you have Ethereum and it's more proof of stake, POS, which they've been using since 2022, and it's still exposed to risks. You could have chain reorganizations, and,
But can't you argue that the UNL is also exposed to risk and more risk than Ethereum and its thousands of validators? The UNL is nothing more than if you want to compare the UNL to Ethereum validators, all that's saying is that instead of having Ethereum's thousands and thousands of validators, not just nodes, because there's a difference between nodes and validators, but instead of having Ethereum's thousands and thousands of validators that operate trustlessly, you have a list of 35 that run the entire blockchain in a trusted manner. 35 versus thousands. 35 is a lot easier to corrupt than thousands of validators that you need to corrupt.
The difference, I would say, is that Ripple has private validators and trusted validators, whereas Ethereum, anybody can just become a stakeholder and hold large amounts. Right?
That's the reason why Ethereum is more secure. It's permissionless. Anybody can run a validator versus you requiring, number one, they have this list of 35, and so it's trusted. And so there's concepts in crypto as trusted, which is where you get this federated consensus model, or trustless, which is like Bitcoin, where you don't have to trust anybody. It's trustless. You can run your own validator on Bitcoin, essentially. Right? You can run your own validator on Ethereum. With XRP, even if you strike up a node today, you can verify your own transactions. However, you do not just automatically get in that. You can't just become a validator. That's not possible. You need to have everybody else, a large consensus of the network, go, yes, let's put that person, we're going to put that person on our UNL. This person is trustworthy. We trust them. They have to say that they trust you, versus nobody having to say that they trust you and you still being able to use the network.
I mean, that would just be more open use. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to who banks trust more, right? So if they decide that they trusted Ethereum more, then that would be a good argument. But so far, Ripple by far has way more NDA agreements. And
Well, it would be banks saying that they trust themselves more in this case, right? That they trust themselves, that they trust versus the list of 35 people that has already been predetermined and that has influence by a centralized company. They don't need that centralized company's list. They can just strike up their own validator and they can just confirm transactions and be a validator themselves.
And with the NDAs, man, that's not really a solid argument because every single person working at Ripple has an NDA. Every single the number of NDAs isn't really indicating that there's NDAs for multiple companies for adoption or all these different things. That's very speculative.
I mean, at the end of the day, the only person I saw at the White House was Brad Garlinghouse really representing on that edge. And at the end of the day, I mean, whichever way you want to look at it, I would still have to say that Ripple and like the XRPL ledger is far safer for banks. I mean, Ripple is already trusted by major banks. They're already working with them. So it would make sense. And literally the whole reason why Ripple even was continuing to develop on the XRPL is for this exact reason, right? Like that was the whole reason they were doing it. And they have the most connections. They have more insight. As a lot of people deny this, but they've been using the private XRP ledger this whole time testing, and they've already been doing it. So, I don't think there's any sort of issues on the XRP side, because if there was, they would have already presented them.
I don't think that Brad Garlinghouse being at the White House is also a good indicator of what you think it indicates. Okay, he's basically the face of the SEC's witch hunt that Trump has thrown out there that is happening, right? And that's part of why they're at the White House, because they're trying to figure out how to get this injunction lifted from them. And they're that voice of, we're in the crypto space and we're being attacked. So that doesn't really tell me that, oh, he has this, what do you call it? Like influence. What it tells me is that this is the face of the company that has suffered the most from the prior administration.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go
Right.
ahead.
I mean, I'm not using it as like my
hold on,
whole
Josh.
argument.
Jesse, go ahead.
Okay. The thing with Brad Garlinghouse is he's a perpetual liar. He leaks out misinformation. The thing is, my thing is, I'm not saying either way how you guys feel or believe, but he has so many times just leaked information when he wants it to pump right before they dump a whole bunch of. He does a lot of things that are sketchy, and the newest thing with XRP is they just putting away in random wallets has been sketchy, and I don't think you should trust Brad Garlinghouse. That's just my opinion.
I don't trust him. I don't trust anything they say, anything they do. It's all a theater to me. And I notice, and like Jesse said, the timing is just so impeccable of when these things happen. What do you say, MMG?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of weight to somebody being at the White House. I wouldn't give that too much attention. Like honestly, it's a nice camera moment, but I would pay more attention to where people are putting their money, right? To Josh's comment about Ripple having more institutional partners or more bank partners, I think it was, like that's been their goal, to work with banks specifically, versus a blockchain that has had the goal of being decentralized and permissionless, as I stated earlier, where anybody can just choose to build on it. And so when people choose to build on Ethereum, they don't need a partnership. They just go and build on Ethereum. And that's why we've seen, when we look at the juxtaposition between like Ethereum and XRPL, where are people choosing to actually build? Where's JP Morgan choosing to build? Where's Franklin Templeton choosing to build? Where is BlackRock choosing to build? And like, how much money are they putting into these projects? Where is Robinhood choosing to build? Where's everybody choosing to build? Where's, like, when you look at Ripple's own product, right? They started a stable coin recently, RLUSD. Where's RLUSD majorly? It's like 84% on Ethereum and like 16% on their own blockchain. Like,
Precisely.
regardless of the partnerships, all the money is going to one place. Like, the vast majority of money in DeFi is on this one place because of the argument that we made earlier, security. Like, kind of like regardless of how like more objectively, 35 a list of 35 individuals that you can contact versus thousands of validators. The thousands of validators win out over decentralization and security. That's just how that works out.
Yeah,
So I mean,
there's a bit of a trend with Ripple that I'm seeing, and it's that it's narrative. You know? So go ahead, Josh. Didn't mean to.
no, I would just say like at the end of the day, Ethereum has had the highest transaction fees overall. Like to make an argument that that would be suitable for transactions is kind of ridiculous in a bigger sense, right? Like you can fractionalize transactions on XRP, and the congestion on ETH would also become an issue because we're talking about moving trillions of dollars around. So that would be like my core arguments.
And yet people still choose it, right? But like, for example, like a lot of these institutions that I just mentioned, the Black Rocks, the JP Morgans, the Robin Hoods, like where are they building right now too? Like yes, most people come in and they settle on Ethereum mainnet because of security purposes, because big money wants security above all. They don't care about the cost that you care about. They care about that
Facts.
security. But then when they want to like do more transactions and higher volume and micro payments, they do what Robinhood did recently. They build on Ethereum L2. And Ethereum L2 still utilizes Ethereum mainnet security. It batches up tens of thousands of transactions into one transaction and puts them on the Ethereum mainnet because that's where the security is, versus having them on some other blockchain where it's not as secure. That's a rollup. That's how that works, and that was Ethereum's goal with their initial roadmap. Now, Vitalik has like mentioned that like in the next year, Ethereum is planning like because like they've gotten a lot of pressure from people because they've had a whole bunch of upgrades that focused on making things cheaper and expanding the blockchain or the network, not just the L1 blockchain, but the entire network, which is why we have all these different L2s that aren't just like well that are official L2s, not side chains. A side chain is not an official L2. A side chain is its own independent blockchain, if we're going to be honest. And then you have a rollup, which is an official L2. And so Ethereum's idea was to have all these rollups that post to the mainnet. However, it's cannibalized the profits of the L1. Like these individual rollups can make their own money. And so now they're focusing back on okay, well, how do we just straight up like number one, the L1 has already become vastly cheaper than ever before, like compared to like a year ago or something like you look at the I think a lot of people like often miss like our assume that the cost on Ethereum is like still like, oh, it costs this much money. Oh, if I wanted to send a like you hear people be like, if I want to send a transaction on Ethereum right now, it costs me $10 or $50. And it's like you haven't looked at Etherscan in years, and it shows because most transactions on Ethereum are like 50 cents or less. Like that's just the case because they cut everything down by over 99%.
Right,
And now
and
they're looking to increase things by 10x within the next year.
yeah, they're
They're going to
looking to
continue to develop.
change the fees to become even more affordable than they are now, and the transaction speed. And I think it's a realistic goal to see it grow. If other companies can be faster and cheaper, why can't Ethereum?
I think like this is really the part where I would have to say like this is perfect because if you really think about it, even if Ethereum fixed all these issues and they started using it to move in between all these different coins, you would still need XRP ledger anyway. So like the goal has never been for XRP to be this one-stop all, but it's going to be the thing that connects everything, and I truly believe that, right? And then like even the fact that XRP can already fractionalize at the millions means it's already steps ahead. And at the end of the day, I could actually argue that I think ADA or XLM would be better than Ethereum over. If I had to pick, it wasn't XRP, I would honestly pick XLM or ADA
Have
over.
you used either of those blockchains?
I'm particularly looking at ADA the most.
Have you used Cardano?
I haven't used it, but I have traded it.
Because it's like I haven't used it in some years, because the first time that I used it, and again, it was congested at the time, so it became congested. But I wasn't very much of a fan of using like a full Cardano for some of my transactions.
Right.
So it's not exactly the best. Like what I've seen is it's not exactly the best blockchain. I would argue that like XLM is a lot better than XRPL, or
Agreed.
Cardano. So I agree with you there. However, from what you just said that I disagree with is that XRPL would be needed to move between all of these different coins. It's currently not needed to move between all of these different coins, and it's currently lagging behind most other contemporary popular blockchains in terms of interoperability. You need to point at Bitcoin to find a blockchain that's not as interoperable of such like a high name. Like XRP just got a connection. Like they're praising a side chain that has like, I don't know, less than $100,000 on it right now. They have like a connection. They just got their connection from that side chain. Again, not a true roll up, to Axlar and IBC, and they just got an interoperability integration with Wormhole, which isn't even like really being used yet. There's no bridges using it yet, but they're lagging behind. Every like Ethereum, like all these things start on Ethereum, and then they go to all these other chains. Like there's a reason why their side chain is an EVM sidechain, Ethereum virtual machine, so that they can tap into Ethereum's interoperability and its volume, and its TVL, like all the money, the liquidity over there. But yeah, I'm curious to hear from you, Josh. Why is it that you think that if all these tokens are already able to interop with each other, they're already being traded between different blockchains and whatnot. I went from Base to Avalanche last night in about 5 seconds because I saw a good yield opportunity. Like, I didn't use XRPL for that. Why would all of a sudden everything as we know it change and we have to use XRPL?
So first, what we were talking about earlier, the only reason I said ADA is because it's in my opinion the most decentralized. And then when we're going to the reason why XRP would be needed to, connect with all these other blockchains, it's simply just from a point of if we start seeing trillions of dollars flow over the crypto market, right? Because when I'm talking about like adoption, I just use it as a word, but if all of these chains started being used, I don't really I think every chain is going to get adopted. I think every chain is going to be used, but if trillions flow, the other side of it is which coins are regulated in other countries to be used. XRP has that. XRP has more contracts in every single country than any other chain in the world, which makes them perfect for it. And when we're talking about liquidity, XRP is so close to flipping ETH even. The minute we get ETFs or even more open interest or people start finding out what they're actually trying to build, the liquidity is going to be massive, and that could be a huge hedge on it. And it's just regulated in more countries. So even if something is usable, the question is, where is it usable also? Because we have to look at, is Europe going to want to have their transactions over Ethereum? Would China want to have their transactions over Ethereum? Or would China and Europe?
I think so, because they could just spin up their own Ethereum L2. They can just make their own regulatory compliant blockchain on Ethereum and have it be super cheap and use Ethereum security.
UB says in the chat, it's not about who's the most decentralized, it's about what big money will use. And big money will use secure transactions.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, TikTok seller.
I mean, like I said,
Hold
XRP
on a second,
has.
Josh. Hold on a second, Josh. Go ahead,
sorry.
Jesse.
I'm not on the TikTok live, so.
Oh no. In reality, any of us, our first priority is going to be security. You don't leave your house without locking it. You don't leave your car without locking it because it is a source of value. So here's my thing. Even if you have to pay a little bit more, you're going to go with the secure option. And the reason is you would rather have Tommy with the gun next door than little Susie with the plastic scissors to protect you. So the problem is people, and myself included, I'm going to pay a little bit more for that security than pay a little bit less and feel uncertain. That's all I had to say.
Right, what if, let's say I had some money, right? And I wanted to keep it safe? Am I going to give it to some guy standing on the corner and say, hey, can you take this and run this down the street and go deposit it for me real quick? And you know, he's on crack. He can pedal that bike twice as fast as anybody else. But am I going to give it to him, or am I going to give it to the armored car to have them go drive it down the road? You know, it's literally that simple. Like, I don't trust some random dude on a bike to go make sure that my money gets delivered. I trust the armored car because I have a lot of money and people want that. Go ahead, guys.
Oh yeah. Before Josh takes the floor again, I would also just like to throw something in there. Like, you made a comment that, and we don't have to stay on this. I would just like to say that, well, I've argued this with people in chat before. Decentralization is like not black or white, right? Decentralization is a spectrum, and so there's various things that play into what is actually decentralized, right? So it could be the validators, it could be your ability to vote, it could be the supply, it could be, there's all sorts of things, like, you know, how it's distributed, all sorts of things play the decentralization. And the sense of like calling like Cardano the most decentralized, I think maybe you're like focusing on like maybe the set of validators or something, but you can easily like counter that by saying I believe Bitcoin probably has more, or like Ethereum might have more, or in terms of voting, like Polkadot has what's known as the largest on-chain governance ecosystem. So they have the most people that actively participate in voting, and that could be considered decentralized. But yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm not that I'm saying Cardano isn't decentralized. Obviously, it's decentralized and more than some other blockchains that we've talked about today. But I don't know that I would just free-handedly give it the top dog spot.
What do you think of this? Trends to You says in the chat, bro, would you trust Ripple is secure once they're a bank? What do you think on that comment?
I would trust them the same as I trust any other bank. There's a reason why I like cryptocurrency to begin with.
Exactly.
I don't necessarily trust the banks.
Do not
When
trust
you put
the
money
banks.
in a bank, you don't own that money anymore. The bank owns your money. I want to own my own money.
Yes. And that's why I brought it up, because I was like, that is the worst argument I've ever heard. That's why we're all here in crypto, because we don't trust the banks, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
But go on.
So, is everybody? I'm assuming, kind of our kind of basis argument right now is over smart contracts or XRPs.
Well, no, like mine was that like I would call Ethereum more decentralized due to like the number of validators and it not relying on a trusted base of UNL, the UNL list of just 35, which not only is it just a list of 35, like similar to like Binance Smart Chain, but like, well, again, similar to Binance Smart Chain, Ripple, a centralized company, has influence over that list, and that centralized company also owns the majority of the supply, which they release to the public whenever they like feel like it. Like if they like, yes, it gets released from escrow monthly, but if we look back to the past, there was times where they like it just wasn't being released. It's like okay, it unlocks and we keep it. We just kick it down the road. Like when I say they keep it, they lock it back up. Maybe they lock up all of it. But in general, they like choose how they choose, because when you read their website, when you read their documentation, they own all of that XRP. It's theirs. They do whatever they want with it. They
Exactly.
own the vast majority of the supply of that token. That's not decentralized. And so like, yeah, my argument is that like the Ethereum ecosystem is wider. It's the biggest DeFi ecosystem in cryptocurrency. There's more new addresses being added to Ethereum than XRP or the XRP ledger. Somebody was just like celebrating in my comment section the other day where he was like, "Yay, we had the 14th. They added 7,000 new wallets today. That's a win." I'm like, Ethereum is adding like 100,000 plus wallets a day. Bitcoin is adding like nearly 1 million new wallets a day. That's like nothing. That's like nothing. That's
Exactly.
like congratulations, but that's peanuts compared to everybody else. So like on the decentralization of the supply, on the validator nodes, on the size of the ecosystem, on the TVL, on the number of transactions going across, on the active users, on the developers in the ecosystem, all of these things, Ethereum is winning. And I don't want to give all this attention to Ethereum because I like other blockchains too. Like I'm not a maximalist for Ethereum or
Facts.
Bitcoin. I'm chain agnostic. I've deployed capital in more than 20 plus blockchains. But if we're putting apples to oranges and it's like, oh, XRP versus like something, like I'm like, well, here's an example of something that's like beating the crap out of it. And like if we're being objective, like it's not winning, it needs to catch up. And I don't think it's ever going to actually catch up if the community doesn't get more realistic about what it needs to improve on. Like I just saw the other day, it was their side chain was like making a joke about Bitcoin, and they were like, haha, this meme that the Bitcoin account posted like aged so well. And I'm like, why don't you guys focus on your own volume? Your exchanges have like $5,000 of volume a day for an entire blockchain. That's pitiful. Like incentivize your blockchain and get some liquidity over here before I move my money off. Like
Exactly.
but those conversations aren't being had enough. People are like in the comments clapping it up like, "Oh, it's so good. We got a wormhole partnership now." It's like it's an integration. It's not a partnership. But like, man,
And I'll say this, okay? And there's a lot of people in the chat that were like, I'm not buying XRP anymore, blah, blah, blah. I got turned off to it. And then it ran up and they were salty about it. I never said that XRP won't go up and won't make you money. The narrative behind XRP is so phenomenal. And the cult-like following for it is just beyond what I've ever seen before in crypto. And one thing that I've noticed is a lot of people that are in XRP are religious. And so they treat this almost like a religion. And because of that, it's going to do phenomenal numbers. It's going to go crazy. And Ripple's going to make a lot of money dumping on those people, right? And the fact of the matter is that a lot of those people will not sell if it hit even $25 because it's not the price that they're being fed with the moon cheese. They're waiting for that $1,000, $10K, $100K price that's probably never going to come. And I think that's why the narrative is those numbers, is to get retail to buy and hold forever, to keep it from being sold, to keep it running up. But that doesn't mean that you won't be able to make money off this thing. The narrative is just ridiculous, and that's why I still trade it. But I trade it because I know it's going to swing very volatilely because of the people buying it and holding it forever, and the people, and then Ripple selling off on it, and it's going to make it swing, which is beautiful. That's what you want in crypto, right? That's how we get money here. But at what cost? Somebody has to lose, right? Somebody has to lose. And that's what I'm trying to educate people, is that just because there's a narrative there doesn't mean that the narrative is true, but it doesn't mean that you can't make money from it.
I would say, and this is a really probably not the greatest thing, and I'm not using this as a debate, but just for a factual point, Ethereum was actually formally developed and it began through a Swiss company. And right now, through our current administration, I don't see any chance that a company that is not from the US would basically be adopted. And like for many good reasons. I mean, you already see Trump coming after every single other country with these tariffs, and everything is going to be US prioritized. US companies are going to be prioritized. So not that that's a strong argument, but it is one. And at the end of the day, if, going back to which is safer or more secure, Ethereum or XRP, I would still say smart contracts are never safer than what XRP has right now. And when you want to argue, well, yeah, but it's not as decentralized, banks don't really care if it's decentralized. They've always been pro centralization. So they're not really going to be like, oh, well, I want to use Ethereum because it's more decentralized, because banks don't care about that. And at the same time, the fact that they can validate transactions while the transactions are being made and not after makes them a lot safer.
To that argument, like like, because that's like similar to like why a Bitcoin maxi likes Bitcoin, and they don't want to introduce more smart contract ledger to, or logic, excuse me, to Bitcoin, right? Because they don't want to expose Bitcoin to all these like vulnerabilities. Like you enter more logic into the equation, there's more opportunity for people to get smart and create things that expose your ecosystem. So yes, that's part of like why these blockchains aren't fully Turing complete in terms of XRPL and Bitcoin. However, if we're just talking about like straight up like transactions, like going peer to peer, wallet to wallet, you're not interacting with a smart contract. That's something different, and that's that ability on your blockchain, but you're not sending your money necessarily through a smart contract. That's just more opportunity for your blockchain. It's having more programmability options. So like I hear that argument that you were making, but I'm also like, well, there's a reason why XRP keeps trying to, or XRPL say, keeps trying to advance, or is made the side chain to begin with, or is working with Flare to begin with, because they realize that they do need that programmability, um, even if
Right.
that isn't the like with all the transactions, the basic level peer to peer like type of transactions are going through.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Revolution. I sent a video in the general group chat, which is from a German financial company talking about Ripple, which I thought was really interesting.
Was it on X? Was in the Discord or on X? Where was it?
I sent the video like in the general group chat.
Okay, I don't always get them, so I'd have to look into it because I'm not trying to be mean, but anytime it says X, I don't really read it. So I will look into it when I can. Because I don't have Discord on here while I'm on my phone.
Let me see. I can probably pull it up. It's in the general.
Yeah.
And do you know when you
It's
sent
above my
it?
comment.
Is it recent?
Yeah, it's right above my wave comment.
Oh, is this the one that says Josh at Revolution?
Yeah.
This video? Let's take a gander.
Der zeitliche Druck, so schnell wie möglich etwas zu tun gegen diesen drohenden Kollaps. Und da wird man natürlich auf das zurückgreifen, was da ist. Ripple ist da mit seinem Angebot, und wenn die Zeit für Ripple spielt, dann kann Ripple durchaus die World Reserve Bridge Currency werden. Und wenn das der Fall ist, dann kann man das hier streichen und eine 4 oder eine 5 hinmachen.
So he's basically saying Ripple can become the world bridge currency.
Yeah, I mean, at the end there, he also said that it could be a 4 to 5 digit price, which is what I was saying. Like, even people in Europe are looking more towards the XRPL. It just depends on like who you're going to. But
Who is this guy? Anyone can
I
say
don't
that.
kn- I don't exactly know who he is, but I could probably find so many other articles and companies and videos of like these similar high net worth people talking about.
How much you want to bet he holds XRP?
Well, I mean,
That
yeah,
part.
he obviously holds it, but I don't see why he wouldn't.
He served me food in Germany last time I was there. Oh my God. We don't know who this guy is. We don't know who he represents. So I wouldn't say that this is a valid source.
I mean, I was just like putting it like as a general idea because I mean, even if we went like back and forth on this like all day, like even if you ask AI, there's like an actual reality in where a high price on XRP is definitely plausible.
UB
Like,
says I have info for that. I'm from the EU. UB, if you want to jump in Discord and get in the debate, you're more than welcome to come up. I can't bring you up on the live with TikTok because it'll rug Jesse.
To Josh, like, what do you have to get to with the AI for it to go, okay, yeah, that's more probable. This is a likely outcome that XRP would reach these 4 to 5 digits.
That's actually an interesting question. I don't think I ever go too deep into it, but I just kind of ask it general questions. Like, here, let me actually. I wonder if there's a way that I can share this because I just did this recently. Actually, my last conversation, which I think, as we said, we were going to talk about this, but my last conversation with AI was about the cycles. How I told you I don't think we're going to see a bear cycle anymore because I said it was unrealistic for BlackRock, MicroStrategy, and all these other people to dump their Bitcoin. And the fact that even if they tried to create a bear market, people would buy up these dips so quickly, it wouldn't really even be a bear market. So I got into that, and then I was asking it about like XRP, and I asked AI from a non-biased perspective if it thinks CBDCs or XRP are more likely to be adopted to settle these transit dollars and transactions. And it said, due to the fact that Trump is anti-CBDC, uh, it's leading towards XRP. And that's like literally like the greatest
Could
thing.
you could you expand it then past that? 'Cause I get that, but like I feel like even when you're like asking a question like that, you're giving it two options versus being a little bit more objective and giving it the full optionality of what's available in crypto and what we see actually being practiced.
Like, do you have like examples of like other ones you'd want to also have in
Like
that list?
an example would be like throwing any other cryptocurrency or blockchain that's
Right,
faster
right.
or cheaper than XRP into the equation. Throwing just straight up stable coins into the equation. There's a stable coin for like all these different countries. Like they all have their own stable coins at this point, as well as we have USD peg stable coins. There's a Euro peg stable coin. There's a Brazilian Reals peg stable coin. Those Juan peg stablecoin. I would throw them all into the. I wouldn't limit it to only two options, and then be like, well, it picked my one option of the two options. I would give it all of the options.
Right. I'm not opposed to that. Again, I'm just more leading to the fact that like Ripple and XRP is a US company, and especially here in the United States, that's what they're going to prioritize. And it has the capability to do it. So it's just kind of a matter of fact on who they basically choose for it. And I'm just betting on the fact that that's going to be Ripple. And I don't think I could give a deeper explanation than that.
I would like my last, and then I'll like leave the floor to us, or you can go ahead again. But I'd be like, my pushback would be like, we chose gold, like the United States and the world at some point chose gold. Like, and gold isn't owned by like it's not a company, especially a centralized company. I think that like weighs into things a lot more than you're like giving credit to. I don't think anybody wants to give any one centralized company control of the world. Probably
Facts.
not going to happen. Like that's very, very, very unlikely that any other country, especially, is going to like forget the United States. Like probably not the United States too. Like there's a reason why we have a treasury and a Federal Reserve. That, like there's a reason things are split up the way they are in some form of decentralization, even though it's very centralized. Like they still try to make it somewhat decentralized, even in that aspect. And like what you're suggesting is let's give it all to this company. Like I don't think so. And also historically, to my point with gold, we chose gold before, and gold isn't owned by one company or one country, and gold isn't primarily in the United States. You like mine it like other countries like more gold than the United States. We chose that before. So I don't know that giving United States based companies all this credit as like, well, because it's a US based company, then that's going to be the option. I think to our earlier argument, the stability, the security is going to factor in a lot more than it being owned by any one country. And that's partially why Bitcoin, like other than first movers advantage, like first movers advantage alone, if Bitcoin wasn't more secure than all these other blockchains and stablecoin or not stablecoins and meme coins and altcoins and whatever else, then we wouldn't be talking about it like we do today. They'd be like, all right, it was cool, but Litecoin is superior. Like it's just vastly superior. And so that would be the conversational topic.
I think like I could give you a really good counter argument. And basically when I talked about this before with Grok too, but I do want to answer your first question.
With Grok.
What I told basically when I asked it around like the $10,000 XRP price, the only thing that I said is that the XRP's circulating supply does not limit it if enough demand comes from people buying it in institutions. And that's where it agreed that it's unrealistic to say that that supply is too much to get bought up. And then to counteract what you said about it being centralized, or you said decentralized, yeah. So Federal Reserve I think that they're going to get rid of it, to be honest. If not, they're going to appoint somebody new. And then the other thing that I asked, where you said with gold, is I think we should get a new US dollar that's backed by gold. That's one thing. And then two, if every country wants their own CBDC, and the reason why, like even with the US dollar, these other countries, they don't like it because it's the US dollar, right? Like you could argue China doesn't like the US dollar currently being, you could say, the leading currency. And so if every country has their own CBDC or their own, stable coin that runs for their country, then you could basically have XRP connect them all to trade seamlessly. So it's less about giving XRP, like XRP becoming the main thing that everybody uses to pay with, but more of a way to connect every single country's asset, which in turn would actually make it less centralized and more decentralized, because it could allow every country to use their own types of technology, currency, and it doesn't even need to be crypto. Like the XRPL can interact with different how do you say this, like
But
different technologies.
but as we talked about earlier, it wouldn't be the XRPL necessarily connecting to all these things. Otherwise, the XRPL would be connecting itself to Ethereum and to the Cosmos ecosystem and all these other blockchains, but it wasn't able to without a sidechain. It doesn't have the programmability to do so. It's not Turing complete, similar to like Bitcoin, as we discussed earlier. And so like it can do a lot of things, but I don't think to the degree that you're like giving it credit to.
I think
Right.
more like
And I
liquidity.
also just wouldn't like, I will also, again, like I wouldn't limit it to just XRP being able to do these. Like I think like, yeah, possible, but like of all the options and like of what we see adopted on like from blockchain technology, it's got to like forget price. Like price of an asset is one thing. There's other tokens. I'm sure other people don't necessarily know this, but did you know there's another token out there that's worth $95,000 right now? And I'm not talking about YFI, but YFI was, approaching $90,000 like last cycle. There's tokens out there that have extremely high valuations. That doesn't necessarily matter. That the price of an asset doesn't matter. It going up whatever percent doesn't matter. Like the true adoption of that blockchain, of that ecosystem, how much money is there to be used, those things matter more.
Right.
I agree.
I think
and all the things that you're saying, Josh, like let's just say that all that happens. Let's just feed into the moon cheese for a minute, right? None of that necessarily indicates these crazy prices that you're talking about. Because let's say mass adoption for XRP, it's still not going to go to 10K. It's like XRP is like trying to fill a bucket with no bottom in it. The liquidity doesn't stay in XRP; it flows through it. What do you think about that? Oh, hold on, I want to see where MMG.
He's gone right now.
Oh,
He said he's
okay.
going to be back.
Got you. Brooke is here. She's not happy. Hi, Brooke. How you doing?
We should get Brooke in here too.
I'd love to have Brooke. Brooke, if you want to come and yell at me, come on Discord and join the lounge voice chat. And we're on Discord doing that so that way we don't have to rug Jesse. Hi, Jesse. How are you?
Good. We're having our own conversation listening to you guys.
That's awesome. Make sure you follow Jessie. Jessie has her own live going on, and she's doing a more political type show. And so make sure you give her a follow. Go check her out. She's a cute one.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I know this generation is very different from our generation, but the more you talk to these AI things and you bring up specific things, it feeds its algorithm and will feed you back specific things it knows you want to hear, whether they are probably true or probably not true. And we did a test case with Oz's computer, and the more he pushed a certain thing, the more it started giving him what he wanted to see.
Exactly.
So be very careful. Have one account where you do it and another account that is so just out of left field, and see if you get the same answers, because more times than not, you just don't.
AI tells you what you want to hear.
And it doesn't mean it's not true. It just means
like,
it's
I would agree with
conflated.
that. And I do want to, before we continue, I do want to state, like, again, I'm not bearish on XRP.
Same. I'm
I
not
do
bearish
think
at all.
I think it'll go up. I think, like, again, like when most people talk to me, I'm like, I think a 5x is possible. That's 500%. Within, like, I think that's possible within a year's time. 500%. What I don't think is possible is 300x. I don't think that's possible.
Well, they're saying more than 300x.
Facts.
Well, I think it's around like 300x just to get to like the 1,000 like price range or so. But I'm like, that's like, guys, like if you were to ask your GPT today, like ask it what top 10 cryptocurrencies or assets in general, stocks or crypto, has done a 300x, being in the top 10 spot already.
But also at the same time, which cryptocurrency has ever settled trillions of dollars a day? So that's basically like the weight that you're like balancing in between.
I don't think it's going to
And-
settle trillions a
Yeah, I don't think
day.
it's going to do that. And like that's like extreme speculation. It's just like it's never even handled that like anywhere near that amount of money. So like I hear that, and like that's interesting speculation, but it's not battle tested, as we like talked about before, where people were like, they like to, and like I've been just as negative on Solana at times as anybody else, but like it's one of the more battle tested blockchains at this point. When Solana goes down, it's because it's handling more transactions, more volume than any other. Like XRPL's never done that. Like you don't know that we just straight up don't know that if it starts to handle even a fraction of the volume that Solana has handled, that it doesn't just crash. It's never been tested like that. And I don't think major like big money is willing to just like throw it all at this thing and be like, well, it's never been tested like that, but let's try this one right now.
Right.
I think if anything, it's super incremental, and like we can all watch it happen over time, but that incremental is not going to happen in the next year. It's not going to happen in the next 2 years. It's not going to happen next. It's going to take a while.
That's what I like what Brooke just put in chat. Like they are testing it. They've been testing on the private ledger. So like I don't agree with anybody who says that
I
because
didn't say
like
they aren't testing up to the degree that we're talking about. You think they're doing more money than we're seeing on Solana?
I think they're like the price has already been like leaked on the thing. It was like upwards of $130,000 last I
Okay.
checked.
First
like,
of all, let me reel that one in. Okay. The private ledger thing, yes, they are testing and they are doing all that, but those numbers have not been confirmed that that's the transactions that they're facilitating. The official story is these were glitches, and it's not just happened with XRP, it's happened with Bitcoin, it's happened with Ethereum. They're just glitches.
I'm not talking about like the actual glitches on regular XRP listed on exchanges. So I'm more about like the private ledger.
I do agree with Brooke. Solana is a very different use case. I agree with that 100%. And I think all these different blockchains are going to facilitate different use cases, but that doesn't mean that XRPL is going to facilitate Swift. Okay? That's what I'm trying to say. It could, but it's kind of a reach right now just to even speculate that.
Right. I mean, like it is a reach, but at the end of the day, like that's based off of the research that we've all done. Like even Brooke has said in chat, like trillions easy, right? And it's like it just depends like who you're asking. Like I've looked into stuff for years, and it's just like when I'm debating people and they go to a different topic, it's just like I don't like to go too deep into it because I don't even have to answer it that much. My consensus is just it's gonna be used, and I'm not saying other chains won't be used, but I think I made a pretty strong fact when I say other countries don't like the fact that the US dollar is so inflationary. They don't like the fact that it's the main currency everybody's using. So the fact that every country could have their own CBDC or all these other things and the XRPL could connect with it, that's a very, very strong use case that can't just be ignored, right? even if the US decided we're going to abolish the current US dollar and we're going to make a new one backed by gold, which I think is going to happen, which again is also speculative, but it is a possibility. And that's where everybody who is pro XRP, I'm not talking about the people who just go on Twitter and they post it's going to go to these prices. The ones that actually think about this, yes, it's speculative, but it's also not unreasonable. Like, it is something that could happen, and there's actual use case to this.
I just still think that as far as XRPL goes, it's probably more or less retail that would use that for the speed and for the low fees. But like we had said before, is institutions are going to be looking for security. Big money is going to be looking for security. The amount of fees that they pay is worth it because of the amount of money that they have at stake. So I still think that the security narrative is the real issue here. If Ripple had, you know, the security that Ethereum had, I would lean that direction. But it doesn't. So institutional adoption for XRPL just seems unlikely right now.
Yeah, I would also like, if I could make a comment on that, like Josh stated, like, okay, well, what if all these different countries, like they all have their, you said CBDC specifically, not just stable coins, but tomato to some degree, like one just has more control.
Yeah.
But then you were like, your statement was that like that they all choose to use XRPL for interoperability essentially. And like my pushback to that would be like, and for that to be their only option, like number one, like you have a bunch of options, but you choose to only use one option, right? I think that would be kind of odd. The second pushback to that would be like, why would you choose specifically? Like if you have the option to use, like again, Bitcoin L2s are coming and they're working on having them be trustless and have interoperability and everything else. Like so you have the most secure ecosystem with trustless, not trusted interoperability. I think that becomes really attractive, especially to big money. So like you have like these type of options and stuff coming through. Why wouldn't you choose one of these options, an Ethereum, a Bitcoin, or something like that, versus choosing a centralized United States owned company? Because you want to get away from the United States dollar ruling things, you're going to go to a centralized United States company, or like I say company specifically because like, you know, like possibly like RippleNet, but if you want to keep it to just the blockchain, like it's still a situation where again that company owns the vast majority of the tokens for that, so that company owns like the circulating supply essentially of that blockchain. They can inflate it whenever they want, they can make it like crazy numbers whenever they have that control. And at the end of the day, who has control over that company? The United States. And so like I don't understand, like how are you escaping it if you're still giving United States so much control versus something that exists outside of that?
Brooke, hop in the Discord. Come on into the chat. Come up here.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Brooke to elaborate on what she was.
Yeah, Brooke, come up here. UB, come up here as well, man. Go in the Discord and in the lounge where we've got a voice chat. All right, no problem. No problem. UB, come on down. UB says major institutions are building their own L2s on Ethereum because it's safe. Exactly. Security is the next narrative. Right now, the narrative is utility. Okay, everyone's looking for utility right now. Okay, and right now, XRP is going to do phenomenal things, and you're going to see major price movement, and you're going to make a lot of money off of it, because of the narrative behind it and because of its utility, which is great, right? But the next narrative coming will be security. And that's what this show's about, is about being ahead of the wave, thinking fourth dimensionally where things are going to go, so that way you're not buying something and get stuck holding the top of it and then it just comes right back down. This way we can get into projects that are, because we understand that security is the main thing that is going to play a role here in the future, to get into security now, before it's ran and done crazy phenomenal things just like XRP has. That's all I'm trying to say is if you got into SXT, which is on the Ethereum network, okay, it's the only one that does what it does. There's no other crypto, whatever you want to call it. I don't claim to be know everything about crypto, but I'll tell you this, that SXT is the only one that does off-chain data verification, and that's security. And that's also going to be interoperable with AI. And it has use case with military intelligence, storing intelligence information on the chain, but verified in a data center off the chain, which makes it secure. So that's why I'm like, okay, like SXT is going to do phenomenal things, but you're not looking at billions of dollar market cap on it. You're looking at a low coin supply, and you're looking at $100 million market cap. So when XRP runs like crazy, you made what, 20%? On a bad day, SXT is going to give you that same return. So when it actually does run, you're looking at 30, 40, 50% returns. That's what I'm talking about. Is why get stuck in a monocular vision on one project when there's so much more to be had in this whole space. That's all I had to say.
That's a good point. Before Josh says something, just good point there. Like, I think it's really important, again, to not be like, you could say tribalistic or whatever, but like to take off the blinders and to look at the entire space, and like not just the entire space for, okay, these are options, and then like outside of looking at the options, look at what's actually being built on. Look at where developers are building. Look at where the money is. Like, there's the saying, follow the money. Actually follow the money.
Absolutely. We don't have to be tribalistic in crypto, right? We don't have to be, but we've chosen to become tribalistic. And that's Cosmic Crypto likens it to the cell phone era, right? Everyone had their own different cell phone data carrier that they were, super into. And obviously one day there will be whatever is adopted and used, like iPhone or Android, right? But the issue is that what it'll come down to is real world use case. Retail and institutions are going to choose what will be supreme based off of ease of use and based off of security and based off of what is fast, what is secure, and what is the best option out there. The market will decide. Okay, so being stuck on XRP because it's fast and it's fast and it can do all, I can't think of all of it right now. Everything that everyone's saying, right? There's so many other options out there that can do what XRP does, if not better. That's all I had to say.
Brick says there's tribalism and XRP hate, but is it tribalism to like have an open mind to other ecosystems and not to just feel like one is the solution when it hasn't been adopted by all these other things? Like, I get the speculation like portion of things. You can always speculate on an asset, but I feel like that's much more tribalistic to like be like, I speculate on this asset and I see a future where this could happen, and so I believe that's going to be all of these I statements have to come from that. Like, versus it could be any one of these, and it's maybe the one that has the most builders. It's maybe the one that has the most money on it. It's maybe the one that has the most transactions on it. All of these options that I've listed so far, and none of them are XRP.
I
So
think
I choose to keep my mind more open because of that.
my speculation is it's going to be what is the most secure. This is money we're talking about. People want their money safe. Period. They don't care how fast it can move from one place to another. They care how fast it can move there safely.
I like what Brooke put in chat there. She said, most XRP holders I talk to own many others because they understand the structure. And I would agree with that, because just because I think XRP is going to go to a high price doesn't mean I don't think any of these coins won't play a role. I think all of them will be used. I think that's the main thing that people get wrong, is when I'm saying XRP could get adopted and go to these high numbers, I'm not saying that that's the only thing that's going to be used. At the end of the day, everything could have equal use. But I mean, you know, XRP could use things like Interledger. We have R3, so many of these other things. So
But a lot
I
of these
don't.
numbers that are thrown out factor that like make that not possible. Like when we use math to have these extraordinary numbers that people are throwing out, that's the counter argument. Is that for you to do that, then all the money needs to be absorbed from all these other assets. They like all need to go to zero for you to have these valuations. And then people go, well, that's not likely. Like it's probably going to be a mix of all of them. And then somebody still goes, well, it's still going to reach these high numbers because it has to. And it's like it doesn't have to. You can just do
Exactly.
more transactions. And then some other thing comes up. And like I'm just gonna go from like historical, like we like been in crypto for 8 years. We see so many like it's a joke also on the inside of crypto that like you don't make an announcement before the announcement. Like it's just like stop doing the announcements. But like we see so many announcements from XRP community. It's like if it's not this date, it was like I believe like in 2024 it was something about like early July or January, and then it moved to later, and then it moved to sometime in spring, and then it moved to July 14th. And then people were like, well, it's not July 14th, it's going to be sometime in November. That's when
November
the actual deadline.
22nd.
Yeah, now it's November 22nd. It's going to keep moving. They don't do nothing but move the needle.
Yeah.
And it's like at some point you have to take a step back. Like again, been in crypto for 8 years. So I've drank at one point I drank the XRP Kool-Aid. At one point I drank some other tokens Kool-Aid.
Same.
And I was all about that token stuff like that. And then at some point you like snap out of it and you start to go, okay, well, wait, if there's all these quants and all this big money and all these people are like, that's just not the way to approach this. That's not like what this says. Here, read this documentation, read XRP Ledger's own documentation. Like you read all these things and it's like, okay, that makes more sense. Maybe I am being a little tribalistic when I'm just choosing this one and all be all more so.
Right.
And
You
it
know-
all falls into line.
You know what I try to tell people is don't be a bear, don't be a bull, be a goat. All right. And what I mean by that is the bears are always trying to push it down. The bulls are always trying to push it up. The goats, all right, in this space, we ride the wave down. We ride the wave up. That's how you should be handling crypto right now. Okay. Because everyone's talking about mass adoption is happening tomorrow, or it already happened on July 14th, or it's happening November 22nd. Okay. Y'all, we're here because of volatility. That's where the money is made. Being a trader, those of us that are buying and holding are the ones that are pretty much gambling. We're hoping, living on the hopium, that something's going to take off and we're going to have chose the right one. All based off of speculation, right? But if we're in here and we're trading, you can literally write all of them down on a hat or on a piece of paper, put them in a hat, shake it, and pull one out, and there's money to be made if you're trading. That's the whole point of this. Otherwise, I'd be trading in the stock market. I trade in crypto because I want the volatility. I can make what I make in a year on the stock market in a matter of days here. And that's the point that I think that people don't get. They got this idea of mass adoption and this new paradigm, and all these things are happening now. That's literally the top of the cycle, is the new paradigm, the adoption. Okay. And that's the goal of what I'm trying to reach people with here, is that There's money to be made so much better and faster with any coin you pick. Any single one of them is going to be a great swing trade. Where do you guys fall on that one?
G, do you have something you want to say, or?
Oh, I was trying to give you the floor.
Go ahead, Josh.
I don't know. I mean, I would still counter argue. My thing is, I don't think that all the money would have to flow into XRP for the high price. That's kind of a misconception. I don't know if that's what everybody else in the XRP army says, but based on what I've found, that's not how it would work. Just to clarify on that.
What have you found?
So basically, I could probably start the reusability, which a lot of people see as a disadvantage. But the fact that an XRP can technically be reused an unlimited number of times for transactions with, tiny fees, like it just means that a single XRP can facilitate millions of transactions. And with that, it actually needs less capital. So you can't even put a market cap on a cryptocurrency the same way you could the stock market, because basically XRP would gain its value from its use case. So even if all the money from the other coins isn't inside XRP, the only thing that's bringing up its value is the sheer volume, the severe volume that's running over the ledger. So it never needs to be inside of it. As long as it runs over it, that alone just brings up its market cap. And there's so many other people that say it the exact same way. I mean, I've told you, like, even Jake Claver gives very clear examples of that. And I don't know how far you've looked into it, like, besides just the short clips that people have of him, but he explains it all.
Before we go any further, because I want to stop at that point, like, and I'm sure I don't want to, I want you to continue, but like, how does a blockchain, which was your point then, having more volume run across it, equate to that blockchain's asset than having a higher market cap? Because the two are separate. That's like saying like Ethereum has a ton of money moving across it. That doesn't equate to the token's market cap going up. Like you need demand for the token itself to go up for that to happen. Also, you made a point about like XRP being able to be used reusable millions of times. I agree with that. And I think that's also why I don't believe that it needs to go up to some extreme valuation, as I said earlier.
Exactly.
I'm like, if it can be reused a bunch of times, then you can do a bunch of transactions versus needing the token when people are like, well, it has to be $10,000 because that's the only way that you're like, no, there's stable coins. You just need liquidity in general on that blockchain. It doesn't have to be that blockchain's native asset. You just need liquidity. And then number one, even if you're using that token, you can, if it's so easy to move it back and forth, then you would just move it back and forth. You wouldn't buy a bunch of it. You buy $5 if that's the cheapest option you can do, and you can move all the money for $5. You're gonna do the cheapest option.
My Discord link is in my bio.
I would say the biggest thing is like it would still require more XRP if it's a lower price. So like these transactions are still using XRP to go through, but they're not holding it. It's just using the liquidity that was already there. So if you can use less XRP, it's actually faster. And David Schwartz said that himself. So it's pretty straightforward.
XRP gets its value from the people that hold it, not the liquidity that will flow through it with adoption. Okay? It's like trying to fill a bucket with no bottom in it. The moment the money goes into it, it leaves it. It happens instantaneously. So how does that drive the price up? It's a liquidity pool.
I would say, I mean, technically both would play a factor. I'm not really understanding how it would just be the holders.
It would affect the price somewhat, but it would be the splashes of drops of water that hit the side of the bucket, not the actual money flowing through it.
But like transaction volumes would still basically drive demand for XRP as a bridge asset, though. Like that's still the same concept.
I just don't see it.
Would it? Especially if like what we currently see right now is that like because your whole argument is based around like institutional adoption. After the institutions buy enough money, buy enough XRP, Why do they need to keep buying more XRP? They don't. Then they have enough liquidity of XRP to make these transactions. You only need so much, and then you can make the transactions. Like you need, if you want to make $1 billion, then we get $100 billion, and then we don't need any more XRP. We can start making $1 billion transactions like that.
Exactly.
Like at some point, they no longer need any more XRP, and that factors out like the volume thing. Like if we're just talking about like demand and that type of institutional buying for that purpose,
And
then
people,
it has a ceiling. And then I'll give this to Oz really quickly. But then like we're constantly seeing that like retail, by and large, doesn't use XRP. They don't actually use the blockchain. They don't use the EVM sidechain. They don't use other blockchains. they they don't use these chains, but these other ecosystems do have that more so. So I'm just like,
and
I don't think it's going to come from retail.
they act like, okay, it's going to be trillions of dollars, if not quadrillions of dollars flowing through it. What makes you think that these institutions or banks or Swift or whatever is only going to use the XRPL? You know, like mass adoption is not just going to be with XRPL. By that time, there's going to be so many different options. Some will use it, but we're not talking about all of it going through one pipeline. Think of it like water flowing, okay? That's what I'm trying. The analogy is water, okay? Right now, the water faucet is not turned on. It's just dripping out of it, right? Eventually, the water faucet will turn on, but it's not going to go through one hose. It's going to be, you know, one of those four-way valves with multiple different hoses going from this place to that place, and with other hose attachments that take it to other places, all throughout the entire garden. It all comes from one spigot, possibly, or even multiple spigots, but it's not one hose being used.
I think the main thing is like demand would still outstrip like supply. So if you have ETFs, obviously, and you have all these people holding it, then realistically, even though it can be used in a limited number of times, the fact that people are holding it and the fact that there's volume on it, and then you can also put real estate on it, all these other things, like XRP has so many use cases. So I still, like, we could go back and forth on this, but to be completely honest, throughout our whole conversation, I still haven't really shifted my opinion, just because, you know, if I talk to somebody like Brooke about it, we would understand the same points that we're relaying. Whereas if you were talking to somebody who has counter arguments, would say the same thing. So
My thing is
Just to our first point earlier, you still believe XRP Ledger is more decentralized than an Ethereum or a Bitcoin, right?
I think it's safer.
Well, that would be in like its decentralization would make it safer. Like, because again, like
Yeah,
the peer-to-peer payment system is what it is. You don't have to use smart contracts. That's an option that people have on those chains.
I'm thinking they don't use smart contracts, is what I'm saying.
do 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 do.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it just depends who you talk to about this. You know, I think it would be really cool, and I know Oz might hate this, but if we had Jay Claver come in here and debate Oz, that would be something cool to watch.
I'd love to have him come on. Have him on.
We should figure out a way how to do it.
I tell people that I don't claim to know everything about crypto, but what I see is the reality of these situations, that a lot of this is just pipe dreams. Okay? And you can come up with every kind of avenue for speculation, but the reality is that what we've seen happen in the past? It's understanding the past to predict the future. Have we ever seen anything like that happen in the past? No. That's just not how the world works. So thinking that XRP is going to take over everything and so that it reaches these numbers, yes, there's probably a situation where you could come up with any kind of speculation to create a narrative that fits your price that you're looking for. That doesn't mean that that's exactly what's going to happen. And that's where I'm with it. Is like, it seems a little too good to be true. And maybe it does. Fine. I'd be happy with $10. Great. $5. Great. But holding on to something, waiting for something that's going to be super crazy is a disservice to people. Because the real people that are making it in crypto are the ones trading it. There are a few people who have gotten lucky. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not about rolling the dice over here with me. For me, it's about creating wealth and doing it as fast as possible for everyone. Is XRP crashing? Kind of. It's coming back to about $3, maybe $3.04.
I mean, even like Brooke said, most like the actual XRP holders, they hold everything. They hold XLM, they hold XDC. A lot of them hold Quant, which Quant is actually great because it has half the supply that Bitcoin has. Like, we're not really placing all our eggs in one basket.
But they're all just
And-
holding.
And it's also a very similar narrative. Like it's almost like I call it like the X basket personally. So
Yeah.
like it's like almost like they all got attracted to the X name. They must be the same. It's like XDC, XLM, XRP, and then you get like HBAR, and they're all to some degree more centralized projects in the space versus like the more decentralized projects.
They all serve different use cases, though. Like, if you
Honestly,
look in,
I like XLM better than XRP. I think XLM is going to do far more than XRP will.
It does more numbers, has more daily active users, has more like, institutions are actually building on it and using it. And instead of because they have a similar like type of setup with their consensus, but instead this one's run by a nonprofit.
Exactly.
I like that.
You don't
much
have Ripple dumping on it every month. That
I mean,
money,
I don't really, yeah.
that liquidity that's extracted from XRP every month goes right to Ripple. Whereas in XLM, it goes to you. Those who are trading it. That's the
I mean,
difference.
I hold XLM personally.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is like, when you're just holding, right? You're holding and you're hoping. You're on Hopium. You're hoping that you pick the right one, that your lottery ticket is gonna hit. All right? Your lottery ticket doesn't have to hit if you're trading. And that's why I'm teaching the TA class. I'm teaching people how to trade. And that's why I'm offering the deluxe subscriptions, because if they don't have the time to learn to do it themselves, I'll do it for them. Because you don't have to pick the right one. You can pick any single one of them and you're going to do well. That's what I'm trying to teach here. That's what I'm the fact that I'm trying to shill out, I guess, is that you can get rich guaranteed with crypto if you're doing it right. It's a guarantee, so long as it stays volatile like this. You don't have to hope.
similar to like Oz's like pitch for like why trading. Like that's why I fall more toward like blockchains with not just decentralized DeFi, so decentralized finance. And I would be that much more interested in XRP Ledger if it had like decentralized finance projects that like actually did anything or like had any real like yields on them. Like when you look at it, it's like sologenic yields are like pathetic. It's not comparable to anywhere else in the space. You can get that like anywhere else times 10. So like you don't see it there. You don't see this many builders and stuff like that in that over there. And like over the years, you have to start to question like similar to like the just straight up volatility like question. You'd be like, okay, well, why aren't they building over here? Why don't I have that opportunity here? And I have that opportunity on all these other blockchains. And like that portion of things like makes me go, okay, there's something going on. If I have that opportunity on Sui, on Tron, on Solana, on Ethereum, more so on XLM, even though the yields are great over there, but I have it on all these other chains. They're starting to build those opportunities on Bitcoin, and they still don't exist on XRP. I just have to hold my token and pray. Like, I'm going to choose one of these other options to make a bunch of money.
Exactly. With SXT, if you're gonna buy and hold that one, you're gonna do way better than if you buy and hold XRP. But you don't have to. You can swing trade it.
I mean, just like a counter argument, not that trading is bad or anything, but a lot of people also aren't that into it. So like you could be out of a trade and the asset gains adoption all of a sudden and you're out of that trade when that happens, then you're locked out. So there's where those issues come from. And also like me saying I think XRP is going to go up. I also hold XLM. I hold these other assets that I also think are going to get adopted because we're leaning more towards crypto being adopted as a whole. So I don't really think it's a one-sided thing, to be honest.
That's just greed. That's just greed and hopium. Right?
Is it though? I mean, like if I'm saying,
yeah, because you're like, oh man, I missed out on adoption. Something else is going to come along. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say is you're looking for a winning lottery ticket, and you're locking up your liquidity.
But like Apple, for example, if you invest into Apple now than before when they first blew up, that's a huge difference in returns.
But you had to know that Apple was going to do something, and
right,
no one knew. No one knew who it was going to be. There are just some that chose it, and they had the winning lottery ticket. Same thing here with XRP.
A lot of people knew what Apple was going to do.
Yeah, but even you can know what something's going to do. Even if XRP does get adopted, and you got out too early, if you're not being greedy and you're taking profits, you're at least securing your wealth. Greed is what burns people here in this space.
I mean, I guess it would just be different if we're looking in terms of like adoption, because like crypto isn't really being adopted like at that scale. So like it still doesn't exactly make sense. Like I'll be the first to say I don't really like Ethereum, but can it hit $42,000 within a year or two? Absolutely. Like
honestly, I think it could hit 5K, maybe even 10 by 2030.
Yeah, I think that's possible, and I think like to the adoption conversation, like yeah, like crypto as a whole isn't like totally like adopted. We haven't had our point where like yes, the entire world is using cryptocurrency, but we do have blockchains that are more adopted than other ones. Like that's something that we can look at data for. Like we look at Bitcoin. There's a lot of active addresses on Bitcoin. We look at Ethereum. There's a lot of active addresses on Ethereum. We look at Solana. Solana currently, I believe, has the most active daily addresses. Like shortly down that list is XLM. They have a lot of daily active addresses doing remittance and stuff. Like Tron has a lot of daily active addresses. It takes us a while to get to XRP. It's something like its average, I believe, for the year is something like 20,000 daily active addresses compared to other blockchains that are in the 100,000.
Exactly.
It's just like it's behind the party. And like I get that a lot of people hold it on exchanges and are waiting for it and stuff like that. But like that's my point. Like it's not being adopted on chain. Those people like people on chain, like even if they do go, they're not using it for its like actual like DeFi like uses. Like so you can say it's a decentralized blockchain or whatever. Nobody's using it for those purposes. It's not being used.
yeah,
it just
Follow
does not
the
have
money.
that adoption.
Follow the money. Where's the money?
And it could change someday. I won't say that it can't change someday.
Absolutely.
But like I will, because like I changed my mind on Solana. Like I was like, all right, well, change this thing up. They're more centralized, and eventually they change things up. I'm like, okay, cool. And like I need to see more than it just being like an NFT space. Cool. They started building more DeFi applications on Solana. I will change my tune. I have not seen these things from from XRP, and I don't think number one, I don't think Ripple does it a very good like service. They do a disservice when they don't like correct the community in certain things and like actually help educate them, which they should be doing,
And
in
that's
my
because
opinion.
Ripple
And
has
then the community
everything to
hurts.
gain from that. That's why the
True.
narrative has been created and pushed the way it's been pushed.
Yeah, I think so. The community doesn't because of these reasons they just like a lot. I feel like a lot of people are like, I did research, and it's like, okay, you read an opinion article, or you listen to somebody talk about their opinion on YouTube, and
Or
they're
on
bringing a
X.
speculation. Yeah, their speculation on this or that, and like what I consider research is like looking at data, like actually going to the documentation to figure out how it's supposed to work. Like, how is that new application going to work, and what else does it work with? These are things that I would consider more toward like actual research versus like somebody's opinion on whatever. Data and what's actually happening is what I would consider research, and like what's the trend that you see from that data.
Absolutely. And that's why I've been more like, you know what, Solana. Solana is going to do something phenomenal as well.
I mean,
It
yeah,
doesn't
as
even
much as I
have.
did not like it.
Yeah, I didn't like
Totally
it at first. I was like, oh, that's going to be where all the collectibles are at, right? It's going to be the collectible blockchain. And it very well could end up falling into that niche. It pretty much already has. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to do something phenomenal. XRP doesn't mean that it's not going to do something phenomenal because the narrative behind it. But like MMG said, I'm looking at real use case. And I see XRP and I'm like, why would I buy XRP when I can buy XLM? Why would I buy XRP when I could buy something that doesn't have a crazy market cap already and a low coin supply? There's so many more options. But most of the retail is low information, uneducated, and force fed the moon cheese through the algorithms, through the social media, which is the only reason why it's doing what it's doing. There's no actual real use case that's causing these prices to go up.
Right. I mean, I was the first person to say that on your live the other day ago that all the recent price appreciation hasn't been towards utility. But that's why it's like I'm over here fighting for the fact like I'm not even trying to convince people to really buy. I just have a deeper understanding that other people just can't seem to see. And it's like, yeah, like right now there's no utility on it, but that doesn't factor out the fact that it has it. It's not being used, but it has it. And when it's being used, like besides what other people say, there is 100% a chance that it's going to be a high value. I don't see why it wouldn't. Like all this global adoption, I don't even think it's going to take 50 years. It doesn't even make sense that way. Like that's like being an XRP maxi that it disagrees with the people who think it's going to go up to a high price in a short term, but say, well, XRP is going to be worth $8,000 by 2070. That doesn't even make sense. That's like saying one bank is going to use XRP and another bank is going to use it 7 years down the line from that. Like the slow appreciation model doesn't work the same way for Bitcoin. That's why I don't think we're going to see a bear market for Bitcoin, because why would they sell Bitcoin if somebody else is going to come in and eat their position up at $50,000 per Bitcoin when they could just keep loaning against it and bringing it up and using it as a store of value like they're marketing to everybody right now?
MMG, you got anything to say on that?
Yeah, I started to type something because I wanted to get the specific numbers, but I'll just mention it like off the top of my head. And it's somewhat related to that what Josh just said. And Josh, I didn't get like I feel like I drifted in and out, so correct me where if I fall flat on this. But somebody mentioned in chat also that like we're here for what did he say? It's like we're here for the real wealth, like not like chump change. I think it was. Yeah, we're here for real wealth, not chump change. I think that's his argument for like
That
why
comes from
XRP.
trading.
Yeah, that why and yeah, I would argue Oz's point. I say yes, that versus like what this person is more so assuming from XRP, where like again it has this narrative that like, well, if you choose this one, it's going to outperform all the other ones by so much. And like, do I agree it'll likely outperform Bitcoin and Ethereum? Yes. partially because like the market cap is smaller. So I think that like in like general like supply and demand and market cap and like it makes sense that the lower market cap token would outperform larger market cap token. So I would say yeah, sure there. But do I think it's going to be some massive outperformance? No, I don't think so. And like this number has probably changed, and this is why I was going to look for the specifics on it. But when you like earlier this year, when I had gone back and I had looked at, and it's like only like within like the last few months, when I had gone back and I had looked at the price appreciation of XRP, Ethereum, Solana, and Bitcoin from the bottom of the market in 2022, Solana had outperformed everybody. Solana was the best performing asset from the bottom of the bear market, not XRP. XRP had outperformed Bitcoin by a little over 100%. However, like a little over 100, and they both went up. It was like something like Bitcoin went up like 500%, XRP went up like 620% or something like that from the bottom of the bear. It was some type of numbers like that. However, the narrative on TikTok and a lot of influencers like to push to you is that like, oh, it's definitely way outperforming Bitcoin. They can't catch up to it. You're just going to waste your money, put it in this other asset. Meanwhile, they were all around the same, like give or take this 100%.
Exactly.
But that's the number one asset. You could have gone with number one overall, done no thinking, and still made out like a bandit. But the narrative being pushed to you is that like if you don't choose this one, you're going to miss it all. And it's like that's just not been the case, and it hasn't been the case historically as well. When we go back 5 years, it's also not the case. I'm looking at price performance over the last 5 years, and this is a little bit more distorted now because like we do have that most recent run up again. So I'm not looking at like a shorter time frame, but this is even Bitcoin 111,000%. Ethereum same. So 1,200%. I should say 1,100%, 1,200%. XRP 1,400%. You would think with the narrative being pushed that XRP is at least 2x more than these other ones, not just inching above them. But it's just not the case. That's just not historically what it's been. And it's partially because they're all large caps. They're all mega caps. These are the biggest market caps in them. Like it takes a lot to move these. And when they move, they typically move together. Like they might run at different times, but you don't get that much difference. Like for one of them to like all of a sudden, for us to get the numbers that people are pushing, again, like not just the 5x where I'm like, because like that's like, do I think Bitcoin's going to do a 5x this cycle? I don't think so. I think a 2x is maybe in the cards. Maybe. I don't even know about that, right? We've already moved up so much. So that 2x is already partially played out. Same thing for though I think a 5x is more likely from Ethereum. Cool. Yeah. We're moving down the line of market cap though. And so yeah, it's more likely for that one than the higher market cap. And then when we look at XRP, do I think that 5x is that's the one where I give the most credit to the potential for a 5x. I'm like, sure, we've moved down that much more. This has way more potential to do that 5x. However, where I start to call BS is at a 300x. I'm like, no,
absolutely,
it's not going to do a 300x, guys. We've never seen a 300x of any asset in a year's time. Period. It's not about to happen with this one. Not from a top 10 asset in any market. No.
Exactly. And you have to understand the way the money works in Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these different cryptocurrencies is it flows into Bitcoin, it flows into Ethereum, it flows into the other alts, and then it flows into the meme coins, and then it comes back around. And that's the cycle that we talk about, the bull cycle. But that cycle happens over and over and over. So you can buy Bitcoin, then trade it to Ethereum, then trade it to XRP, and then trade it to HBAR, then trade it to Algo, and then trade it to SXT, and then trade it to meme coins, and then back around. When you're trading it, you're just exponentially doubling the X's that you can rack up. This was meant to be traded, not bought and held. That's why we're here. We want to be rich, right?
I would just say with Bitcoin, trying to time Bitcoin hasn't really been that beneficial for people up overall because anybody who's bought at any point in the chart is currently up. So, and like also the thing with Bitcoin is I don't think it's done this cycle because we're gonna have a huge supply crunch because a lot of the correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure we're at like 19 million circulating supply. We're approaching 20, and then they won't get done with mining the last Bitcoin for a long, long time from now. So we're going to reach a point very soon here where there isn't Bitcoin left, and it would cause the scarcity to push it up dramatic numbers. And I actually ran these numbers through, and if every single or a huge chunk, I think it was 30, if 30,000 millionaires out of the 22 million we have in the US all of a sudden decided they wanted to buy Bitcoin, all the supply would be gone and it would shoot up to incremental numbers. And that could genuinely still happen this cycle. I don't even want to put this cycle into it because I don't think we're getting cycles anymore. I don't think seeing Bitcoin dump is realistic. It just doesn't make sense to me. But when you're looking at the same thing, it's like, especially for XRP, the only reason why I'm holding it is because I got in so early. So for me to get out and in, it doesn't really make sense because what I believe is going to happen, it would be a rapid price jump and not something that's going out. And it's okay if people don't agree with me or like it's correct to say that it's never happened before, but that doesn't make it something that can't happen. And I'm sticking by the narrative that I have, and it's a narrative that I put together. I'm not on the side with every single other XRP maxi, but I'm accumulating multiple different tokens that I think are going to have significant price appreciation. And it's the same like the influencers who were trying to push we're going to get a bear market. They have everything to gain from a bear market and nothing to lose because they basically time it at the end of the day. It's like, why would somebody sell their Bitcoin now? Because like if Bitcoin went back down to 50,000, why would somebody wait 3 years before an influencer says, okay, bear market is over, we're going to go back into a bull cycle, so Bitcoin is just supposed to hover at $50,000 a coin for 3 years? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, let me tell you something, okay? Crap, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, you said you're accumulating these coins, right? For a long-term hold. Accumulation is not done in the middle of a bull cycle. It's done in the years between. All right? So now is not the time to be accumulating. Now is the time to be trading. And then once the bull cycle is over, then we go back into accumulation. And I know you think that the cycles are never going to end. That was the narrative every cycle. Okay? The bull run, I think, continues from here on out. I do have a speculation that we are going to redefine the bear cycle. Okay. And what we're going to have is we're going to have a bull cycle that runs for the next 5 years, I think, until things stabilize. But we're going to have bearish trends in there, and there'll be flat zones. And this is speculative if what you're saying is right. But either way, there's going to be a time and a place for accumulation. And that's not right now. Right now is the time to be trading it, not accumulating it. That's all I'm trying to say.
But like, how would that work in a sense? Like if people took profit on Bitcoin and it went back down to 50, why would people wait to reaccumulate?
That's when you would reaccumulate, is when it drops. But trying to accumulate XRP at $3 is not the right move. There are other things that you can accumulate that aren't running yet.
But also, it's getting more expensive. Like if I were to not accumulate,
Look
like
at
by the way,
SXT, man. SXT was prime for the picking, and you bought some, right?
Right.
You did amazing, right? And it hasn't even really ran yet. That's what I'm trying to say is those are you got to look for the right project to be in accumulation before you start accumulating. XRP has already passed that accumulation point. It was accumulated around 50 cents.
Right. And I got a lot there too, but my point is trying to like I can trade and buy these other assets, but I'm talking about Bitcoin and XRP specifically. Like, people are so eager to take up positions. How do you get to the point where, for example, if XRP ran to $15 this cycle, right? Let's just hypothetically say that there was an adoption and it just ran to 15 off of the hopium that people are spreading, right? Let's just say that. Am I ever going to get an entry lower than 50 cent? That's highly doubtful. And the XRP you get
Maybe
when you buy
$1,
at 50,
maybe
and
$2.
even then is really speculative. We've touched the $2 floor so many times, and
Yeah,
once we get
it could be
ETF
$2.
approval,
It could be $2.
the
I
whole
could agree
crypto
with
market.
that, but I'm thinking more like $1, dude, and maybe even lower.
But that's like speculative, because the whole crypto market is only 4 trillion. The stock market is 111 trillion dollars, and they're going to open the floodgates from retirement accounts and ETFs, which means I don't even think it's speculative to say trillions of dollars are going to flow into the market. So when you have that much price stability, there could be a real chance that if you take profit early, you are never going to get a better entry. And then you're just going to be buying on top of all these new people who come into crypto.
That's
And
greed.
that's why
That's
but
greed.
it's really not. Like, it's a possibility. And that's why I'm just trying to not outweigh that.
I
Because
understand what you're saying. Okay, and you know, we've been back and forth on this already. It is 8:00, and we have to go to Twitch exclusively, so we can talk about the Epstein stuff. But I'm not discounting what you're saying. Yes, there is a possibility, but for me, that's just a lottery ticket. Okay, you don't need a lottery ticket to win in this, is all I'm trying to say, buddy. Right? And if that's how you want to play the game, I'm not saying that you're not going to make money doing it. I'm just saying you're limiting yourself. That is all. Hey, buddy. You know, I appreciate you, and I love these debates, but I got to let you go, buddy. It's 8:00.
all right.
Thank you for coming on. MMG, thank you for coming on. Appreciate you
Yeah,
as
good
well.
time.
Is there any last things you want to say, MMG, before you go?
Yeah, I guess the last thing that I would say is, yeah, Oz was like talking about trading a lot and totally agree. But like more so than just trading, like, yeah, I suggest that people like take your crypto learning like past just learning about like price and charts if you have it that in you, and learn about like actual activity on chain. Because I think like once you start like actually interacting with like applications and stuff like that on chain, and you don't have to use all of your assets. You can even use test nets. So it's basically paper trading. But once you start to do that more, so I feel like you learn a lot more about the market. And it also opens you up to more opportunities. You can trade more assets. You can trade assets before they get on these exchanges, and so you're able to experience pumps before they get on the Uphold or Coinbase or wherever else. You
Absolutely.
experience the pump before it ever gets there, and then it pumps when it gets to that platform. You're open to way more opportunities outside of that in terms of like what's available in DeFi and TradFi. You need like certain amounts of money in like certificates and whatever else to be even eligible to use certain financial tools and investment like routes. Like in DeFi, it's all just open to you, and there's more and more
Absolutely.
coming every day. And so I would say like if you're actually like interested in crypto, you like you can always speculate on price, but like diving more into like how things work and how they work on chain, and like yeah, experimenting in that world is where the most money is to be made.
Yeah, what I say is invest in yourself before you invest in the market. Educate yourself first. Don't just listen to a creator on TikTok that's shilling you some coin. Invest in yourself, become educated, and then invest into the market. Thank you, MMG. Appreciate having you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. All right, that was a great debate. Revolution. Hi. So you want to promote your show real quick, and everybody go follow Jesse.
I'm usually on Wednesdays or Saturdays, and then Sundays we'll have the Queen of Chains, and that'll be, I think it'll be 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And there'll be 4 amazing, beautiful women that are going to talk about politics and crypto and all of it. So I'm really excited about that.
Awesome. And we're always happy to have you, Jesse. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all the gifts that you guys went over and sent Jesse as well. Thank you for the gifts you sent here. So many gifts.
We had a great time over here.
I saw you. You guys were having fun.
We were. Thank you guys, whoever switched over here and talked with us, and you guys are amazing, and I can't wait for the next time because that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was a cool way to do it. Have you on the camera here, and if you want to continue doing this chat, how do you feel about having Jesse on the camera? Better than looking at my ugly mug, right?
This isn't an ego contest.
No, I think you're going to do phenomenal. I really do. You're going to surpass me. People will come here
I don't know
because,
anything to make people money.
yeah, they'll come here for me to line their pockets, but they'll watch your live to see your face.
Well, that's why we have both.
Yep. All right, Jesse.
All right, Twitch.
I will see you guys on Twitch. Jesse,
Bye, everybody.
do you want to get mic'd up for Twitch? How can we do that?
Yep, I'm pretty sure I can figure it out.
Okay.
I'm like dumb, but not like dumb. So
I don't know how it works.
I'm sure I can use
because
I can
you're
use
there
the
and
same
I'm here.
microphone. I know, but I can figure it out.
All right,
It's
we'll
called
figure it out.
Google. All right.
All right, we'll figure it out.
All right.
All right.
See you over there.
Bye. And if you're not watching on Twitch, we'll be live on Twitch. That's Ozthecryptogoat, all lowercases, no spaces. Come on over. We're going to talk about things that we can't talk about on TikTok. Buy high, sell low. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Buy high, sell low if you're in a short. Make sure you come over to Twitch. That's Ozthecryptogoat, all lowercases, no spaces. We're going to talk about things that we can't say here on TikTok. It's going to be a little bit more spicy, a little more less family friendly. And if you are not trading crypto and you want to learn to trade crypto, join on Discord. We have the TA class that we're offering. I also offer one-on-one coaching for deluxe subscribers here on TikTok. So as a deluxe subscriber, you can message me directly. I will do on-demand technical analysis for any project and help you set up your wallets with your portfolios and basically nudge you in the right direction to get you profitable. Everything that I offer pays for itself, okay? And I try to keep the amounts as minimal as possible. Invest into yourself and then invest into the market. And that's how you're going to become profitable very quickly. Everyone here that takes advantage of the subscriptions, takes advantage of the technical analysis class is printing money. Start printing money. You don't have to have a winning lottery ticket. You just need to learn to trade. And you will make the money not only faster, but more of it. So if you're looking for real money, you're looking for the big money in crypto, and you're buying and holding, you're doing it wrong. So become a deluxe subscriber, join the technical analysis class, and change your life. I'll see you guys all on Twitch. Have a good night. Remember, that's Ozthecryptogoat, all lowercases, no spaces. What's up, chat? How we doing? Let's see here. So how hard is going into XRP going to crash? I mean, it's pretty much done what it's going to do. I think there's a possibility of a head and shoulders formation right here. So that would send it back down to like 247, 265, somewhere between there. Okay, I lied. I can't figure out the microphone, but I can talk in the chat and have commercials anyway because my boss is cheap and won't pay for the ad free. If you have Amazon Prime, you can get a free subscription through your Amazon Prime. I believe everyone has Amazon Prime. Can I be completely honest with you? No, absolutely not. Just kidding. Go ahead. I don't have Amazon Prime. Well, you can always just subscribe on Twitch as well. I will buy my deluxe tomorrow. Nice. Yeah, get the deluxe subscription. Take advantage of it. And remember, you get out of it what you put into it. All right. I have other people I'm coaching as well. So you have to, you know, message me and conversate with me, and it's not something that happens overnight. But it does happen, and it does happen quickly. And I'll tell you what, like the TA class, man, TA class is legit. You guys are going to learn a lot from there. I don't have Amazon. You need to cut those boys off after an hour because you guys were talking in circles and it was just going on and you didn't do any TA, didn't go Uber over any news, and you have a set time limit to be aware of time. Yeah, you're right. Big Baller just gifted a tier 1 sub to Paul. Thank you, Big Baller. How do I send a sub to Jesse? I think you have to select Jesse's name when you go to gift a sub. Gift some subscriptions, guys. Help support the channel. Remember, when you guys send those subscriptions, that money goes to Jesse. To everyone who was on my side of the live and kept me entertained and we laughed and had fun, I appreciate you. Oh, Jesse. And look, Big Baller just gifted you a subscription. There you go, Jesse. You are locked in. See, Jesse, your boss did pay for a subscription for you. Jesse says thank you. And Big Baller, you never called me, bro. You got to call me tomorrow. We got to talk about some stuff. I got busy. Sorry I didn't call you, but when my phone rings, I'll answer it. All right, and we'll do some technical analysis because the Epstein stuff there's not too much to go over, but we want to stay informed on what's going on with this because this is a big deal, man. I think this is the biggest deal. Children matter, right? And we need to do everything that we can to keep this relevant and keep people talking about it and fighting about it, because so long as it's being talked about here on the internet, they can't hide it. So Trump's deputy attorney general says he will meet with Elaine Maxwell again tomorrow. So Deputy General Todd Blanche said he will continue his interview with Ghislaine Maxwell tomorrow. Today I met with Ghislaine Maxwell and I will continue my interview with her tomorrow. He said in a post on X, the Department of Justice will share additional information about what we learned at the appropriate time. So they're interviewing her now. That's I'm wondering what's going to come about from that. Let's watch this little clip
Just tell
here.
CNN that U.S. Attorney General Bondi told President Trump that his name was in the Epstein files. Let's bring in CNN's Jeff Zeleny at the White House. Jeff?
Jake, we are learning this evening that the president was briefed, as you said, by his Attorney General Pam Bondi back in May, that his name was mentioned in the Epstein files. That is what we do know. What we do not know is the context in which his name appeared. Of course, it has long been established that the president was a longtime friend of Jeffrey Epstein back in the 1990s in New York. They were featured at many parties together. Jeffrey Epstein attended one of Donald Trump's weddings at least, and on from there. But what this does is return the questions, the unanswered questions, back to the White House. The White House, of course, has been working overtime trying to change the subject with the deflection, with the distraction. But what this shows is that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, told the president that, look, your name is mentioned in here. Of course, several other names, many other names are mentioned in these volumes of files, but it does not answer the questions that still remain about this entire matter. Now, White House officials are telling us, look, this is not surprising. The president knew his name would be in there, but they are saying that he did nothing wrong. Of course, the president severed his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein over a real estate fight in Florida in the mid-2000s here. But what this does, again, return the conversation back to the president's name being in the files. Of course, the files have not been released. There's been an uproar over that. And many people are wondering if it is because of the Trump mentions in here. Again, we don't know the context of how many times his name appears, but we do know the president was briefed on this by his Attorney General.
Yeah, we should reiterate, this doesn't mean he did anything wrong. There's a lot of hearsay in investigative documents by definition, but it's sure interesting.
It sure is interesting, isn't it? And it kind of brings light to why he was like, why are we still talking about this Epstein guy? He died years ago. Why does anyone care? Obviously, he knows that it's bad for him. Whether he didn't do anything or not, his name is listed in there. The fact that they would not release the information just because of that, that's sickening. Okay? That's sickening, but I'm sure there is some kind of evidence, and maybe there's not. Maybe it gets sealed by the Secret Service. We don't find anything out about Trump. Jesse brings up a good point. She will cut a great deal if she says what they want to hear, and that's a problem. Okay? She has everything to gain from saying what they want to hear, right? So are we going to get the truth from her, or are we going to get some moon cheese just so that she can get out of prison? That's a problem. So that also raises more questions and concerns about this whole thing. Do I think Trump is implicated in this criminally? I think there's a high likelihood. Does anything come about it? Probably not, because it'll be sealed by the Secret Service. Jesse says, take them all down, listen to the victims. He and Epstein was deposed for SA, a 13-year-old. Yeah, I think there could be some evidence. You will never see any Epstein stuff come out. I don't think so. I think we'll get a fraction of what's supposed to come out. And let me tell you, these files that they have, this is the FBI files, all right? The CIA files, the NSA files, they're separate, and no one is ever going to get that, okay? And that's going to be more along the lines, was Epstein intelligence? Was this an operation that was happening? None of that information is going to come out because everyone's going to be focused on the FBI stuff. They're not going to realize that there's more to be had. And that's a problem as well. He's going to give Americans a lot of money to silence them. That's what I heard. You know, I'm telling you, like, that's all you got to do is lower the cost of food and make it so people can buy a house, and they will be too concerned with getting into their new house and moving to even question what's going on with the Epstein stuff. They will be distracted. Give them food and entertainment, and they will never revolt. August 1st is coming soon. We will see money soon. Stimulus checks. Ooh, that would be something, huh? I'll tell you what, stimulus checks would definitely pump the markets. Universal health care is what file? Exactly. Exactly. That's what it'll be. It'll be, oh, everyone's got their own home. Everyone's got something to keep them distracted. Everyone's happy, and they will all get tucked into sleep. I think stimulus checks won't be enough. I think they'll probably do that, and that'll be good for the market. But I think more or less, if people are moving into a new house and they're not paying for health care, that would be something that would change the narrative. At the same time, I don't think anyone ever gives up on this one. I won't. I'm not going to give up on this one. We're going to be screaming to high heaven about this for a long time. We're going to try to keep it as relevant as possible. Keep you guys talking about it and talking about it on TikTok as well, whatever we can say, and trying to keep it alive until we get the information we want. How much do you guys pay for healthcare? That's a good question. I'm not going to say. I think that's kind of private. But most people that have healthcare pay more than if they had like federal or state healthcare. It's usually more. House Democrats force Republicans to take vote after the vote on the Epstein files. Let's take a
Tonight,
look.
Attorney General Pam Bondi's top deputy meeting at a Florida courthouse with Ghislaine Maxwell, the convicted accomplice of notorious sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche meeting privately with Maxwell and her attorneys. Earlier this week, Blanche posted if Maxwell, quote, has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, the FBI and the DOJ will hear what she has to say. This tonight from Maxwell's attorney.
She answered all the questions truthfully, honestly, and to the best of her ability.
The Trump administration seeking to cool the ongoing firestorm over its handling of the DOJ's files on Epstein. Today's meeting blasted by Democrats.
There is every reason to fear that Donald Trump could offer Ghislaine Maxwell a pardon in exchange for silence or even worse, phony exoneration.
It comes 24 hours after the Wall Street Journal report, citing senior administration officials, that the president was briefed in May by Bondi that his name appears in the unreleased files. The Journal reporting the files contained what officials felt was unverified hearsay about many people, including Trump, who had socialized with Epstein in the past, and that being mentioned in the records is not a sign of wrongdoing. The White House calling the story fake news. NBC News has reviewed over 1,000 pages of documents tied to Epstein or related investigations and conducted interviews with dozens of victims and attorneys, and none has suggested Trump committed a crime. All as President Trump tonight toured the Federal Reserve's $2.5 billion building renovation, which has already run over budget, squabbling over its costs with Fed Chair Jerome Powell.
It looks like it's about $3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
You just added in a third building is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
The president asked what Powell could do to get him to back off his criticism.
Well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. But other than that, what can I tell you?
Garrett joins us now live. Garrett, a lot of headlines involving President Trump tonight. The FCC has approved the $8 billion acquisition of Paramount, which also owns CBS.
Yeah, Tom, the sale to Skydance Media comes on the heels of that $16 million settlement between President Trump and CBS News over a 60 Minutes interview with then Vice President Harris. The FCC says Skydance will make significant changes to the CBS broadcast network to ensure, quote, diversity of viewpoints across the political spectrum. The FCC's lone Democrat dissenting with the decision, which she says threatens press freedom. Tom?
All right, Garrett Haake first. Garrett, thank you.
All right. I want to talk about the healthcare thing for a second. So we the Epstein thing, we don't really know what they're going to release. It's probably not going to be much, and people are going to fight over this no matter what comes out. But I do want to ask Shaz. Shaz is in Canada where they have free healthcare. Here's the issue with the free healthcare, okay? Yes, in the US, we pay out of pocket, but we have the options with private healthcare to get certain procedures done that are, like in Canada, a lot of people will be sick or dying or whatever, and there will be procedures that can help them, right? The problem is that the government pays for the healthcare. They won't pay for those procedures because it's too expensive. So they offer things like assisted suicide instead. That's a problem. Okay? If we have universal healthcare, we need to have access to any and all procedures that people want. Not true. I work in an ICU unit. It's not. Okay. Hear me out. Okay. It's not that that's the case, that it's a slippery slope, and that's the direction it's headed. Okay. And there are plenty of procedures that people could have that they can't get with that healthcare. That is the problem. I'm not saying that they're giving assisted suicide yet. Okay? But it's a slippery slope. Do I want to live in a world where there's procedures that can save someone's life and you can't have them because the government is saying, no, we're not going to pay for it? That's the issue. Yes, we have to wait longer here and can go to the States and pay big dollars. Yeah, and I think people need the option. People need an option. Waiting for a knee replacement is 3 years. See, that's a problem. That's a problem. So it's a double-edged sword, okay? It's a double-edged sword. So there needs to be clarity in universal health care. It needs to be available in a timely manner, and it needs to be available in all aspects. And it needs to be where the person has the ability to choose and say, I want to have this procedure done, not that one. Because they have crazy advances in medicine, but they're not available to certain people because of the healthcare they have or the money they have. Universal healthcare needs to be universal. It doesn't matter how much money you have access to get certain whatever procedure done, and it done in a timely manner. Because what they'll do is they'll just wait you out. If there's a procedure that's too expensive for them to pay, but it needs to be done now, it ain't going to get done now. and it'll be too late, and then you'll be past the point of no return. That's a problem. It's a slippery slope. Just wait till you find out our hospitals are organ harvesting. Oh yeah, that's, dude. Yes. 100%. Don't be an organ donor. All right. If you go to the DMV, they ask you if you want to be an organ donor. They will literally kill you so that they can harvest your organs. You would have a chance to live or be resuscitated, and they won't resuscitate you just so that they can harvest your organs. Somebody is dying but has a good kidney, $100K for the hospital. Exactly. Exactly. The healthcare system is screwed up. It's all screwed up. Everything is messed up in this world right now. That's why we have this show. That's why we're trying to change things and make a positive change in the right direction. But like I said, it's a double-edged sword. We need to be more educated and more clear as the people of what it is that we want, and understand what we want and how it can be accomplished. And that's the problem, is most people are low information, don't know. Healthcare in America is only about profit, not about people, and we all know it. That's for sure. In the ICU, we deal with a lot of organ donations, and it's very emotional for all. Yeah. The organ situation is a problem too. That's why they want to do the cloning. They want to, what was that movie? The Island? They would clone the people and have them live on the island, and then it was like rich and powerful people, and then they would harvest their organs. My son needed emergency surgery, and they charged me $12,000 with a PPO. It's messed up. It's messed up. And the problem is we have the technology, we have the resources, but our hands are tied because the systems that we've chosen. That's the problem. We need to change the way things operate, the way things go. And even with that, it's a double-edged sword. How do we fix all these problems? What happens if you don't have insurance? Basically, they garnish your wages. They take your assets from you. Revolution. Jessica says revolution. It's all about greed. That's it in a nutshell. I know, right? And that's why I'm trying to like teach people about the markets to not be so greedy. Hopefully that transfers. When, Moon? Not tomorrow. I'll tell you though. Come beginning of August, if we get trade deals, we pump because of August 1st, right? But if we don't get trade deals, we dip hard. Y'all better buy. That's going to be your last opportunity this cycle to buy and get in at those low lows. Back to $2. Thought it wouldn't age well. 126, here we come. On what? On XRP? Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. I don't know if they go that low. They pumped everything just right before. They knew what they were doing. They're going to keep it from falling that low. You still have the short, dude. That short is going to pay off at the end of the cycle. All right. Come November, you're going to get paid. End of November, baby. End of November. Maybe sooner. Maybe we get it on the 1st. Maybe things just drop like crazy. Maybe so. It depends on how bad the deals are. All right. DOJ seeks interview with Ghislaine Maxwell amid calls to release the Trump Epstein documents. All right, we already went over that. I'm not going to beat a dead horse with that one. Let's do some TA. What's happening in November? ISO supposedly gets adopted again. It gets its last pump November 22nd. And then I think it's all downhill from there. Retail will start selling off for Christmas. I have Beer Gator merch coming in. I need to get you some tanks in about 2 to 3 months. Yeah, we'll meet up, bro. Dude, the Beer Gator thing, I have aspirations. I have ideas. As you know, dude, I've got Raider Nation. Okay, I have like one of the, it's like a spider web of Raider Nation connections. Not only do I go to the Raider Nation car meets, because I do like the car club stuff, but also my security guard is like a crazy Raiders fan and knows every Raiders fan. All of them, they all know each other, and it's a community. He does his social media on, I think, Instagram or Facebook. But he is plugged in as well, and dude, he's down. He's on board, and I want to tailgate party this thing. Yeah, get us, dude. What I'm thinking is we go to the games and we tailgate party and we give out free beer, free alcohol. So I brew alcohol here too, right? So I have gallons and gallons of free alcohol to give out. I don't drink. I just do it for fun. So that'll be where we can kickstart it, you know, get it going. But dude, free beer and hot dogs, bro. I'm telling you right now, people are going to come for the free booze and the free food, and they're going to stay. They're going to get toasty to the mosty, and then they're all going to buy a beer gator. Guaranteed. It's going to be so easy. I already bought like a pop-up tent to do it, and I got CO2 coming in the mail. I'm gonna start testing the beer gator stuff, and then I want to get like some like sound equipment, do the DJ thing, and dude, basically all the games in Vegas, man. Be there, tailgating, and promoting Beer Gator, promoting the show. It's gonna be legit. We're gonna have Jesse out there giving out free beer. It'll be awesome. Yeah, call me tomorrow, man. I have ideas. I have infrastructure set up already. I have people and know-how. Basically, it's whenever we're ready to pull the trigger, dude. I can make this thing happen. Can I come and help give out free beer? Absolutely. Absolutely. It'll be in Las Vegas. We'll be doing this. Especially if you're a female. If you're a female, we need you. Yeah, we need to work on the contract. We'll talk tomorrow, bro. Okay? Let's talk tomorrow. We need to iron this thing out. In the meantime, let's do TA. What projects you want me to look at, guys? I'll tell you what, all the people on TikTok that didn't come over here missed out on TA. Sucks to be them. Kronos. Crow. Kronos. Is Kronos a meme coin? Help me out here. Oh, dude. Kronos hit that mark that we were saying, 13 cents to the cent. Is that what we said? I think it'll do 14, to be honest with you. That's that double bottom there too. That's that first spot right there. That's that first point of resistance. This one's going to 14, 15 cents. Saw a W for a win. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. 14 to 15 cents. I think on the low side, 13. I think it's going to do better than that. I honestly think it'll do 15 cents. That's a psychological number. And that's just to get started. All right. That's just to get started. It could do way more. Way more. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Somewhere around 15 cents, baby. Well, I can only TA what I see, right? So obviously it can go much higher. If this is the trend, $26, 25 cents. That's where I'm seeing. If that's the trend, and obviously it could go higher. Could be trended more like that, and that would put it at like 30. Oh yeah, everything's dumping. Dude, the red light's on. All right, everything is gonna dump. But I think long term, obviously this could come back down first, and it would probably hit 11 to 10 cents. Probably like 10.5 coming back down. If it did, and it could continue back up from there. Okay, but I think overall things are bullish. Yeah, I would say probably 10.5. 10.5 looks good. 10 or 11. 10.5 to 11 cents. Honestly, I think 11 cents is more like that sweet spot, but it may very well fall to 10.5. But that first spot is at 11 cents. But everything's going up, okay? Long term, everything's going up. So it really depends on your time frame on these things. So if you're looking to buy more, just buy the dips. Everything is pretty much, I think we're going into alt season. Pretty much August is going to be your last big dip, the beginning of August to buy again. That's going to be your last chance. Obviously, there'll be other chances, you know what I mean? But like to get the low. All right, Ethereum. That looks like a bull flag. also kind of looks like a Head and Shoulders in the 1 hour. Which means it could come down to like 34. But I think this one's going to keep pumping. Four hours of descending channel played out. Coming back down. Hulk Hogan, wrong orange. Dude, do you think they murdered Hulk Hogan? You think he knows something? Tell you what, though. In the 1 day, we have a descending channel, which means we could, you know, come down, come up, come down over the next couple days. Looks like 35 is the bottom. It could go to 34, possibly. Here's the thing, okay? That fair value gap takes it to 31.5. If it does break downward, it's coming to 31.5. All right, just like XRP did. It'll do something similar, but XRP has ripple dumping on it, which is what's bringing it down to fill those fair value gaps. So this could potentially come all the way down here. But I think long term, if it breaks 4,000, it's like, if it breaks 42, it's going to go, its next spot up is going to be 44. I think it does 5,000 this cycle. I think it easily do 5,000 this cycle. At some point. That's where it could go. And I think even higher. It can go even higher. Welcome to the Matrix. Just keeps hanging a carrot in front of your face. Yeah. Any other projects? We got time. We got 10 more minutes. Any other projects? Is Hulk Hogan a coin? Tell me there's a Hulk Hogan coin. STX. Oh yeah, STX is about to pump, y'all. STX is about to pump. If you haven't bought STX right now, is a good buy. It could potentially go to like $74. It could potentially go to like 73, 75, 74. Okay. But this one is pretty much seems its bottom, and it's that double bottom. It's that double bottom like we've been seeing. Okay. This one should pump us up to $1.35 to $1.40 to get started. Yeah. The first zone of profits is going to be $1.25. And then it'll be $1.30. And then it'll be $1.40. Really? I did buy a little bit last week. Yeah, it's definitely a good buy right now. This one's a buy. It could potentially come down more, but yeah, this is what you want to see. This is what we're looking at. This one's going up. All right, and that's with the presumption that we're going into alt season. By the way, when you guys see the red light on, you shouldn't be selling. You should be buying. All right. When you see the green light on, you should be taking profits. You know? I mean, I guess this is okay. No, don't go off of that. Ask me. Okay, ask me. Ask me. Don't go off the light. Honestly, I should just keep the light white because it just depends on what we're looking at, right? Depends on what we're looking at. This one, though. This one looks like a solid buy. Obviously, it could definitely come down a bit more, but I think it's right there at the bottom. If it does come down more, it's not coming down much further. 74.5. The lowest it's going to come down is right here. If it does, it's going to be right there. 73.81, 74, 75. Yeah, pretty much where it's at, where it wicked to could definitely be the bottom of this one. This one looks prime. Like, hopefully alt season happens. I think it does. All this crazy cycle stuff, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Can we talk about taking profits? I haven't done that yet. My thoughts, if you take profits in XRP, then I have less XRP. I'm not grasping the concept. Shaz, are you a deluxe subscriber on TikTok? And what I would recommend is also the technical analysis class. I think we get alt season, okay? And even if we don't get alt season, we'll get a form of alt season. It just won't be as phenomenal as what we've seen in the past. We're going to get something. Okay. As a deluxe subscriber, I offer coaching where I can teach you the taking the profits, and you can message me directly and I will help you. You can just say, hey, like, this is the project I have. Where should I be taking profits? How much you got to tell me your situation, and everyone's different. You know, we can't do that in the live. There's not enough time. I got 5 minutes left. Can you see if I'm a deluxe? What's your name on TikTok? Actually, just send me a DM on TikTok. Okay? Send me a DM on TikTok. Sharon Strong. Okay, Sharon, I believe you're a deluxe subscriber. Send me a DM on TikTok and we'll hash it out, okay? I shall help you. I think we got time for 2 more. Oh, that's beautiful. I think SXT is a buy right now too. It could potentially fall lower. If it does fall any lower, it's not going past like 8 cents. But what I would predict is this is an imbalance. So this thing's definitely going up to 10.21, 10.5 for sure. Eventually, wherever it goes from its bottom. But here's the trend line right here. Bottom. So 0.85, 0.875, somewhere around there would probably be the bottom. This is a strong buy right here too. This is a strong buy. Creating higher highs. This should, when it pumps again, reach for higher. I would think that if it breaks 12.5 its highest and it goes again, it would wick up to like 13.5 would be the next spot. So it should go from where it's at now to like 13.5. And it could obviously go higher. Look at that nice green candle. We're starting to get those big green candles again. All right. That is beautiful. That's what we want. Okay. And the fact that it came back and it filled this again, like that's what we want. That swing trade. Boom. We're going to trade this thing as it goes up and down. Obviously, we got a cup and handle here. That pretty much played out. Now we got to see what else it does. If it doesn't run up and it just consolidates, then it's going to come back down, right? And it's going to come back down to like 7 cents, maybe 6.5. All right. I don't think it does that, to be honest with you. And don't forget, 50% of donations go to OperationUndergroundRailroad.org. That's the Tim Ballard Foundation, the founder of that foundation, to stop sex trafficking of children. Right? Everything going on with the Epstein stuff, we don't want that. Look at this, baby. SXT could very well stop right there at 883. I would say 888. It's pretty much there. This one's a buy right now, I think. I would buy this, and even if it does drop down lower, it's going to stop at 8 cents and then continue up from there. In my opinion, I think so. This one is getting narrative, okay? This one is getting traction right now, okay? There's a lot of stuff going on with data right now with AI and all kinds of different stuff. This one's about to get its narrative. All right, chat? This one's ready to take off. I think this one does 50 cents this cycle. That's a long way up here. That's definitely possible. I'm happy with 20 cents. If it goes to 20 cents, I'm absolutely happy with that. Let's set our mark for 20 cents. Yes, this is SXT, baby. This one is a buy. I would say right now almost. Obviously, it could fall down to 8 cents, okay? If this thing falls any lower than 8 cents and it goes to like 7 cents or 6 cents, buy it. Buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. Okay? Anytime this thing falls below 8 cents, you better buy it. All right? And it's just a matter of time before you're able to get some profits out of it. It might take a little bit longer, but it's going to pay off big when it does pump. All right? This one, this is your golden goose right here. This is the project that is going to make me the most money. It's so new. So new. Because it's so new and unchartable, it's actually better. It's more likely to go up. It's going to be hard to get this thing above 16.5. But when it does go above 16.5, and after it goes up and it gets that pullback, it's going to shoot up to 20. This one right here, baby. This is what you want. This is what you want. All right, it's 9 o'clock. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Today's live was a little bit different. We had a debate, and we had Jesse on our live. A little bit different. And I don't know if we're going to continue it that way. I'm going to talk with Jesse about it. We're going to see. We shall figure it out, right? So, appreciate you guys. Don't forget, take profits, send donations. Good night. Appreciate you. Check 1, 2.
To try and shade us to take control, but we the goats, we real, got soul to be the greatest, that is the goal. So go and judge me and slur my name. Yeah, G9 is what I became. Just judge my music, don't need the fame, but no LF goat is what I proclaim. When you're a goat, you just know it. We the black sheep, yeah, I suppose it's coming for us to just be different. Cause all my life I've been belligerent. I get so mad when they play ignorant, but that's what made us so magnificent. Yeah, we here and we chilling with the tribe. Got my grass and my hoodie and my light. Getting lit, come on, you know you wanna try. We doing good, bro, please don't kill my vibe. Said we here and we chilling with the tribe. Crypto underdogs, nah, I ain't gonna lie. So good they can't ignore even if they try. We'll never leave, it's LF go till we die. No, you'll never hear a mumble rap from me. These words I care, yeah, they have meaning. We in the matrix, but I'm intervening. About to pull you out, Neo, you've been dreaming. Find you in the song and want you to be freed. So get used to seeing goats up in your feet. It's guaranteed that we'll succeed. Come on, man, I know you've seen the term goat used on a TV. It's in sports and it's in music. There are lots of ways to use it to describe the best. The ones obsessed, that hidden quest. It's like we blessed. Boy, I'm like Santiago, I'm the alchemist. Travel the world and leave you all impressed. Become the wind, my spirit strong. I swear I'll prove them haters wrong. Show them we for real all along. Cause goats are great, the top's where we belong. Ozthecryptogoat, it means the other heart. Like yin and yang can't split apart. The dark from light, yeah, it's a balance. You only know this if you're like Alice and seek the knowledge down that rabbit hole. Two equal opposites that complete the soul.
All right. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with everyone you know. Welcome to the Ledger Lounge. This is Ozthecryptogoat, and we have a very, very special live today. We have the president of California's Stand With Crypto coming on the show. I've got my Stand With Crypto pin on right now, and I'm in chats with her. She should be on here shortly. In the meantime, everybody hit the like button. We do. How's everybody doing today? Do you guys like my new picture? I have the Christmas goat. Oz the Christmas goat. What's the name of the trust company? Angel Finance? In the meantime, hit the like button. Just working out some details with the guest right now. Please bear with me. I do apologize. I usually like to get all this done, but this is a very busy person. So we're trying to work with them as best we can. All right, we're back. How's everybody doing? I'm gonna bring down the music here, and we're gonna talk a little bit. How's everybody doing, man? It's good to see everybody showing up. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends. Everybody double tap the screen if you're watching on TikTok. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like button as well. Don't forget to subscribe. Those of you on X, don't forget to hit the chat. Those on Twitch, we're also live on Facebook. And we're live on X as well. I have all the chats pulled up, so you can watch and chat from any platform you like. People tend to use TikTok the most, but we have wherever you decide to find yourself, that's the place to be. Let's set up a Heart Me goal here on TikTok. Boom. All right. So we have a special guest today. It's Miss Nifty, Miss NFTY. She's the president of Stand with Crypto. She's going to be coming on, and so this is their website. This is standwithcrypto.org, and it says, if you care about crypto, it's time to prove it. 52 million Americans own crypto, and yet crypto's future in America remains uncertain. Congress is writing the rules as we speak, but they won't vote yes until they've heard from you. Join the fight, and you can click right here, right? So there, it looks like there's 2,623 U.S. advocates, 1,226 policy maker contacts, advocate donations. They've raised over $500,000, and globally they have 2.9 million crypto advocates. So these are the different. So look, it shows you someone in Washington emailed their rep. Someone in Washington followed SWC on X. Someone in Washington joined SWC. Obviously, that's Stand with Crypto. Someone in Utah joined. Nevada, California, Illinois. Someone in Illinois emailed their rep. So you can track everything that's going on with them, where it's happening, what they're doing. And as you can see, the big areas, I don't see anything in New York yet, but we have Connecticut, we got Virginia. This is around the DC area. Washington, California, Nevada. These are hot spots, right? So this is good. And the reach is growing. This lady has been on a plane for like days. I think it was like 6 days. We'll ask her, and she'll tell us everything. But it's been quite amazing to see all that they've been doing and all the work they do. So Stand with Crypto is first and foremost the result of 2 million plus people fighting to keep crypto in America. We also partnered with a number of companies to fight alongside us. So it looks like we got Privy, Protocol Labs, Paxos, Anchorage Digital, MoonPay, Coinbase, Third Web, Lightspark, all these different Kraken, BTC, Hedera, OpenSea. So they're partnered with all these different companies, which is pretty amazing. Let's see, let's go back here. So you can also, on the website here, this is standwithcrypto.org. You can join Stand with Crypto. You can email your senator. You can follow on X, and maybe we'll write an email in the next live show that we do. I'll write the email, and you guys can help me compose it. I'll be in and out for today. Had the worst day of all time. Oh, I know about your day, brother. Sorry to hear that, man. Glad you're okay and you're doing well. I'll tell you what. Everybody simultaneously right now spam the chat with a W. How about SWC? Stand with crypto. Everybody SWC in the chat. Hashtag FYP, hashtag for you, all the hashtag crypto. I do know that there's a bit of competition in the live time right now, so it is what it is. But you know, share the show out with your friends. Let's get the algorithm rolling and get more people watching, and we can get to our regular viewership levels. And before we start the show, does anyone, if anyone has any questions or wants to come on the show and ask any questions, let me know in the chat and we'll see if we can work that out. Let's see here.
Competition within ourselves. LF Goat. Hey, go tribe. No drama, bitch.
I love this song.
I got no drama. Said I got no problems. Not a single distraction. Don't care about your trauma. What are you building? Said what are you doing?
Hashtag Goat Tribe.
Cause trust me, I'm suing. Every day I check the feed and see some dumb shit. Like someone rugging or they got a scam like fuck it. Somebody sleeping with somebody else.
The music's allowed on TikTok. I have the rights to this. I'm have full permission to use this music. So if you have any questions or you want to come up on a panel, let me know. Anybody want to come up?
On the grind, another day, another verse. Always getting better, I ain't getting any worse. Build you up, help you out how you meant. Also, you can pull this stupid little stint. Come on, man.
How's it going? Hold on, let me adjust the volume here. There, now I can hear you. Hold on, I gotta adjust the audio for you because what's going on?
I'm good. I'm sorry I missed your interview earlier today.
Oh, it hasn't started yet.
Oh, I thought it was at 3 o'clock California time.
No, that's the TA class, and that got rescheduled.
Oh, or did I read the flyer wrong?
You may have. So the flyer is, the show starts at 5 p.m. and then the guest comes on at 6 to give a chance for people to come in to so they don't miss out on the first part of the show. So do you know who the guest is?
I looked up Miss Nifty?
Yeah, or NFT. Why?
I'm not sure if I recall her. I may have heard her speak before.
Yeah. So I met her at this last crypto event I went to, and she's the president for Stand with Crypto in California. And this is their website right here, standwithcrypto.org. And it actually is a tool where you can email your senator directly. You can take polls, refer friends, mint an NFT, follow. But my main thing that I really like about this is the direct link to email your senator. Fix the camera. What do you mean fix the camera? What's wrong with the camera? You can't just say fix the camera in the chat. You got to tell me what's wrong.
Me, probably.
Aha. There it is. There you are.
Yeah, I just got done feeding my horse, so.
It's off center. Oh well. I really don't care if it's off center right now. I'm not gonna mess with it. It just is what it is. The IT guy comes in and cleans stuff, and sometimes the camera gets moved. It just is what it is.
Kind of cool. I'm down in the comment section. I feel like I'm in the lower bleachers or something.
I don't know why that is. Usually there's a bunch of different boxes here. I haven't used any of this software in so long. It's everything got updated. It's all different now.
It's all like Christmas.
I am so excited for Christmas. Did you see my new picture?
I think your guest sounds really cool. Like it's going to be a really interesting interview. Is Jesse going to join us?
I don't think Jesse's gonna join us. She's been busy doing stuff. I'm hoping that she comes back to the show soon. But you know, it's the holidays and stuff, you know. But she's down there in the chat supporting. But yeah, I'm hoping to get the whole crew back together and get the crypto show going again, get more guests, and get everything rolling the way it was before we took the break. You know, it's been nice to have a little bit of a break though.
That'll be really nice.
So I have a question for you, Belle. Is there any questions that you would have for Miss Nifty as far as standing with crypto?
I want to know why we don't know more about it already. Why am I just hearing about it probably maybe for the first or second time?
Right, so exposure is what you're talking about.
Is this a large movement specifically just for California with our taxation?
So globally, there's 2.9 million people. You can see it right here on the screen. The U.S. advocates is 2.6 million. There's 1.2 million policymaker contacts right here. And then they've donated about a little over 500,000 in donations. And look at, you just click this right here. Email your senators to pass crypto legislation. Boom. Click that, take action. Put your first name. Here, let's see here. Last name, email address. Your senator. This will show after you enter your email address.
Now, I may have heard about that like 6 months ago with a bunch of the XRP stuff that was going around. And the fear of California doing that clawback on any crypto in your accounts that stayed dormant for 3 years.
Oh yeah, for the wallets. Well, here's the thing on that. So they can reclaim those funds, but you can actually claim them back from the government. You just have to file. So it's actually a good thing. So let's say that you had a wallet that got lost, or you lost the keys to it, forgot how to access it. The government, after 3 years of inactivity, would basically claim those funds, remove them, and then you could file to get those back. It's just, you're going to have to jump through the hoops.
It sounds like something I might want to make a few posts on. And hello, Web3. Thank you so much.
Web3, I did put some posts out on Stand With Crypto. And if you want to reach out to Miss NFT, or Miss Nifty, excuse me, she's in my Discord right now. So click the Discord link in my bio. She should be hanging around in there, and you can ask questions or engage there. So click the Discord link. Let me see here. I'll post it in the chat for you guys. Give me just a second. I'm really excited about this this guest today, though. I wasn't 100% sure if they were going to make it because we actually rescheduled a couple times, but we got it. We were able to make it happen. Let's see here. All right, copy.
Web3, you might want to share this out to a couple of your other bros and ladies that might be interested in that, or specifically people from California.
Exactly. And it's not just California, it's a global movement.
Yeah.
So it's more than just California. Obviously, she's the president of the California section of it, but still, hold on, I gotta fix everything. Everything moved around on me. All right, we're good.
Appreciate you, Jesse. We'll see you soon.
Trying to get on the Discord now. If you're having trouble getting into the Discord, send me a DM. I'll send you the link directly. Some people have issues. Some people get right in. I don't know what it is. And TikTok's not letting me post it. So I don't. Jesse, if you could go into the Ozthecryptogoat email, copy it, and then post it into the chat. I know you can do it. I just can't do it from a desktop. So,
and I have to drop from the box if I think she's gonna post or pin anything.
Got it. Did you have any other questions?
No, I just wanted to know a little bit more about her, and
Right.
other things she's into, and how she got started in crypto very briefly, and what are her passion projects.
Absolutely. And, when she comes on, that's, what we're going to talk about. And then I got a few questions as well. If she has time, I'm going to open the panel back up for you guys to come on and ask questions directly. If she's willing to do that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So,
another lady in crypto,
Exactly. There's actually more women in crypto than I realized. Like, I go to these events and I see lots of women at the booths, and they're not just paid actresses. They're involved. They're doing stuff. So you guys are not alone. Josh said, "Speed me up. I'm late." That's your own fault. You're late, Josh. That's why we start an hour early. We start early so that it gives you a chance to get caught up. But we will have our guest in a little bit.
I'm starting to wonder, what does she see for, AI coming online more? What changes does she see for the future kind of stuff,
Well, I know that as far as the legislative side of it goes, AI is untethered now. So,
which is scary.
Oh, it's very scary. At the same time, you're going to see things moving a lot faster now because of that. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, my little tiny business got dumped in SEO ad placement on Google and other sites since August. And AI is coming online and burying your stuff even deeper. It's like you're having to pay Google like ransom now to have your business, propped up on page 1.
Yeah,
it's from page 1 to page 3 overnight.
If you copy the link from your link tree and paste it into join the server on Discord, it works. Got it. So you hear that, chat? Just click the Linktree link and then paste it into join a server on Discord, and it should work. We can't hear her. All right. Let me turn up the audio. Sorry about that. Oops. All right, Belle, thank you for coming on, and we'll
I'm gonna drop down and let you talk to a few other people, but those would be some basic basic questions that would be on my mind at this moment.
Yeah, Web3, if you could drop that in the chat, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much for your help. And thank you, Belle, for coming on.
No problem. I thought if I hopped on, others would follow.
Yeah, it's always good to have you.
I love you guys. Thanks, Oz.
Bye.
I'll be listening. Bye.
What's up, Mr. Josh TV? How you doing, buddy?
What's up?
It's good to have you back on the show. It's been a while. How's your show
Yep.
coming along?
Well, I've done like 3 live streams so far. I'm not gonna lie, it gets pretty tiring. Now I know what you mean when I'm up there and like, I don't know, last time I was streaming, I was up for like 12 hours and I haven't streamed since.
Dude, I told you, it is tough, right?
Yep.
Imagine doing it just 4 or 5 hours a day, 5 to 7 times a week, like that, just like clockwork. And then having something to say every time and be right. It's
Right.
It's difficult.
Exactly.
So, what do you know about Stand with Crypto? Have you heard of it?
Not really. I've heard of other organizations, but not this one specifically.
So if you go to standwithcrypto.org, that's this page right here. And basically it says, if you care about crypto, it's time to prove it. 52 million Americans own crypto, and yet crypto's future in America remains uncertain. Congress is writing the rules as we speak, but they won't vote yes until they've heard from you. Now, we're going to pull this up and read what it is. So you can actually email your senator. You click on this link right here and it takes you can put your name, email address, and then it'll tell you who your senator is, and you can email them directly, which is pretty goated if you ask me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go do that.
Definitely read it before you sign it. That's one thing I would say for sure. I have not read it yet. What's up, Purple Bitcoin? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to have you.
Is this for the Clarity Act? I forget, because I'm pretty sure one already got passed, but they cut the other half of it out, right?
I'm not sure, and that's some of the questions that we're going to ask.
Right, because I was going over the kind of I'm pretty sure it was the Clarity Act while I was on stream, kind of going over what's in it, what things are important, what certain things meant.
Yeah, and I do think that we need some clarity. I think we need some legislation, but I think more or less we need more like a crypto constitution, something that protects us in a way that makes it so the government can't get too deep in it and can't start controlling it too much. Because the whole idea of crypto is to have the people in control of their finances, right? So
right.
We don't want, the government to come in and overregulate it in a way that just creates control.
And that's like the biggest argument that I saw when they had people like Brad Garlinghouse and other people kind of talk to these congressmen and these senators. I'm not sure if you remember that. That was a while ago. That was like midsummer. And they were going back and forth arguing over, we want control. And then somebody else stood up and said, well, yeah, I agree. There should be some level of control, but not to the point where the government can come in and start treating this like, any sort of financial bank account.
Absolutely. My biggest concern is control, right? They could basically flip the switch
right.
in the opposite direction and debank you with that kind of control. What are your thoughts?
Right. I think looking into it recently, so many people argue over the whole decentralized aspect of it, and like really looking into it in the last year or so, I've really begun to notice is that essentially everything runs on the exchanges because you're still exchanging for fiat, so everything is essentially still running on fiat. And basically, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but I've kind of come to the conclusion that every single token is essentially still valued by fiat, because it has no value until you bring it over to an exchange and you cash it out for fiat. So in a sense, they could basically find out who holds certain types of wallets. And the problem is, you know, people say, okay, well, you can put it in a cold wallet, but if you ever bought Bitcoin on an exchange, that transaction from the exchange hold to your wallet is now a transaction. So they can link back because you upload your ID, you do KYC, and then they can track, okay, this person bought Bitcoin from this exchange, they moved it over to their cold wallet, then they took that Bitcoin from their cold wallet to a different exchange, but that exchange can look back and kind of see where that came from. And then, you know, if we get to the point where the government can, I don't know, request some sort of file from these exchanges, like be like, we're looking into this person, we need you guys to hand over all the information, like who is this guy, their ID, all their information. And that's what I really don't want to happen, is when, you know, the government can come in and basically force these exchanges to give out all that information, because then that crypto is now useless. I mean, they can ask them to freeze your assets, which a lot of chains, you know, they can do that.
Yeah, XRP, Ledger can, HBAR, Ethereum, what's a couple others? There's a whole list of them. I actually posted them here on my TikTok that lists all of the exchanges that you can basically be delisted or debanked from it. They can seize your assets. They all have some sort of smart contract written and slipped in there. And what's crazy is it's put in on a level where it was only found out that it was there through testing. So they would test the blockchains to see if it had any of this type of smart contracts. And all the big ones, man, they all have it in there. So it's a bit concerning. And it's not something that you can just look up and know that it's there. It's well hidden. So that's very concerning as well.
What are your thoughts on Bitcoin? Do you think that you feel a little bit safer with it, given that there isn't, I guess there's that extra level of, okay, it's the first token, and then also looking at it now, you know, it's a lot harder to freeze somebody's Bitcoin address. But the only part that still doesn't make sense to me is I feel like they could just figure out what address belongs to who and just refuse to cash them out at an exchange. That's my only concern now. And I don't know if you've heard, there are certain people, there's a specific name for them, but you can basically send them the Bitcoin and they deliver cash straight to you. The only problem is obviously that's a lot more difficult, but I would like to see more options to pay for things with your crypto directly. That way you're not forced to bring it over to an exchange and cash it out for fiat.
Right.
If you get what I'm saying.
And I feel like holding stable coins, you can do that already, right? So if you're using USDC and let's say you're using Coinbase, or you have like an Arculus wallet, Arculus has tap to pay. I have a Visa for my Coinbase. I don't use it because who wants to use Coinbase, right? But you know, it does exist, but I can't spend like Bitcoin directly. I can't spend XRP directly. However, this company right here, it's this is their pin right here. I think it's XPX. I think is what it's called. I'm gonna try to get them on the show here soon as well. But they've only been running for about 16 months now, but it's basically a way that you can spend your XRP or your Bitcoin or your Ethereum as cash with a card. So that's a new technology that's just come out.
Interesting.
And I'm really excited to have him come on. And like I said, they've only been live and building for 16 months now. And it's growing very quickly. So I'm interested
I think more
to
and
see
more,
what happens with that.
I think that industry is just going to continue to get bigger because more and more people are kind of understanding, what's the point of crypto if everything is still going to translate through fiat at the back end, right? Like,
Right.
obviously, even gold bars are exchangeable through fiat, but you can still trade gold for other things. So I think just having the ability to pay for things with your coins directly instead of having to go cash it out for fiat first and then paying with fiat. And also, I think it would boost the overall value of crypto. And I don't know. I think we're going to start to see more of that in 2026. I'm already seeing all of these crypto influencers, especially the ones you shouldn't really trust, like the ones that are always, the orchestrated pumps of cryptocurrencies and new projects. And they're basically saying that privacy is going to be the next thing, which is true, but they're also promoting a bunch of fake privacy coins that don't really do anything privacy. And I think that's the only thing. And that's where I would like to see some sort of regulation, because I feel like nowadays anybody can make a team, make a coin, say it does certain things, and then when you actually look at the capabilities of it, it's all just headlines, for example.
I'm more along the lines of buyer beware, right? So you should be doing your own research. Like, are you just going to pick any bank to bank with, or are you going to look around and see, do I want to use a credit union? Do I want to use a small bank? Do I want to use a big bank? Do I want to use a business bank? You have to, have some kind of education in it. I think that more or less the people should take the time and learn. And, right now, crypto is like the Wild West, right? And
right
during the Wild West, people would sell products. And one of the issues that we had in the Wild West was medicine. So they had snake oil that they would sell to people. And I think it was like killing people, or it was just didn't do anything. But I think it was like, poisonous. They gave out opium, and people would get highly addicted to it, overdose on it. So the government stepped in and said, we're going to regulate this, right? We're going to go give some good, clear clarity. But look at what happened over 100 years' time. Now we have big pharma, where it was designed to stop you from buying poison. And now big pharma only puts out poison. All the medicines, there's nothing holistic anymore. There's nothing, that you can't, you can't go to your doctor and get holistic medicine. You have to get chemical based, that are all basically petroleum based products, that are poison for your body. And that's where we're at today now, because originally the intention was to help the people and to keep them safe and secure. But in the long run, that's not what we got. What we got was control to the point where a large corporation now and multiple corporations have control, and they can literally force you to take things now. And look at what happened with COVID. They forced everyone to take a shot in order to leave their homes and do things and stuff. So that's the fear that I have with overregulation. I love the idea of having some sort of regulation, but not in a way that gives them control, but more or less like a constitution for crypto. So that way the government can never overstep their boundaries, and crypto is protected. That is my main concern.
Essentially, like in a way, the best method forward would be basically freedom of choice, right? You have all these different crypto chains and people can choose which one they want to use to transact. Same way that I don't believe that the entire financial system should be shifted over to crypto completely. I think people should still have the choice to pay with regular fiat, if they want to use Cash App, because they should be able to have the choice to use what they want to use. And same with like medicine, and this is a really touchy subject, but there's a lot of natural plants out there that are being banned from being usable, right? So they're telling you what you can or can't use, which is, I would argue, opposite of the Constitution that we have now, and that's why it's so important that we defend the Constitution, and that's also the only reason why America still has arguably more freedom than other countries, even though that's somewhat falling apart to a degree. But the freedom of choice is what I think is going to be the most important in the long run. Because the minute that, like you said, the government can step in and tell people, okay, well, now you need to use this, then basically you have it to where everybody's using one thing. It's easier for them to control. And I think that's ultimately where, if that happened with crypto, I think it would fail.
I don't think it would fail. I think they would look at right now. Everybody is cheering on regulation because they're in hopes that it's going to pump their bags. And so how is that helping anything? Can we reel it in for a second and sit down and say, look, we want regulation, but this is the kind of regulation we want. Instead, everyone is like, I don't care what regulation it is, just get something in it so that way my bags will pump.
I think that's why I like Cardano's CEO, Charles, so much, because he was talking about this on a live stream the other day, where he was saying, look, I understand that, our chain arguably hasn't been performing as well as others, and he was explaining that's because he's not selling his company out to these big institutional companies like all these other chains are. And he was talking about how everybody's trying to rush the process of regulation and adoption simply for the purpose of, pumping up the prices. And in a way, he was saying, like, when Cardano rolls out an update, it's good. It might take forever, but it's good, right? So I completely agree, and it's less about the chain, right? And it isn't just, I want to be clear, because this isn't just because I hold a lot of the coin. I genuinely like Charles as the face of crypto because he is very aware about what's going on, and he's talking about it all the time, right? He doesn't give you a bunch of false information. He just stands up there, he goes on live, and he talks about all the problems that we're facing and the things that need to be done correctly. And I think that's super important, because if we push it too far to the way these institutions want it, then we kind of lose the whole point of what crypto was designed for in the first place.
Absolutely. And that's my biggest fear, is losing the most beautiful opportunity that people have had in history financially, in my opinion. And we're giving it up for some chump change because we want our bags to pump now. We're impatient.
I think we need to see total, I would say organic growth would be better, because if you look past it all, the last cycles on the total market cap chart, it always comes up and then all the way back down before it goes back up. And we're never creating new floors, which tells you one thing, and that's that the overall market isn't gaining any sort of stability and growing. And that's the current issue, is whenever you push all of this adoption as news and you get all these people to front run the markets, they take it back out because there's still uncertainty. And then you're never making that new floor, and new people aren't going to come in because they don't necessarily trust it.
So do you think with regulation, more people would buy it and leave their money in it?
I think they would, partially because they've also, everybody's told growing up that it's important, right? Like, you know, you need to have your money in a safe bank, this and that. I see it from social media how people are talking. Like, they do want some regulation, but like you're saying, I think it's important that it doesn't overstep, because I also don't want the regulation to get to a point where we're doing all these things just because a couple people want them, and then it destroys the whole space for maybe a short-term 50% rise in the markets, right? Because you want overall sustained growth, kind of similar to the stock market. You know, the stock market doesn't lose half of its total market cap value in the form of 2 weeks, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And I think that's the issue, is everyone is content with the small pump now because their plan is to pull the money out. You know, they're not looking. I mean, some people are, they're looking to hold long term, you know, but some people are just like, they think that they're going to put in $100 and come back in 6 months and be a millionaire. I think
that type of mentality is also.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I forgot what
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that type of mentality is kind of what destroys the crypto space, right? Because if that's what you tell people, I mean, I would say from now that I started trading more, I like the volatility. And I think even if crypto grows, there's still going to be more volatility than the stock market, which is good because, like we were talking about earlier, people have freedom of choice. They can use the stock market, they can use the crypto market, right? They can choose if they want more volatility or less volatility. But I think overall, if you look at it, I don't know, just telling people that they can put a small amount of money in and that it's going to go up, it just hurts the space. Because if we were to address it a little differently, I think also more people would trust it, right? If they saw stability. I mean, why do you think more people trust Bitcoin, even though there's more gains to be made elsewhere? Because it has a track record of going up every time. And we haven't seen that with these other chains, right? It's the biggest issue that Cardano is facing right now, is that it made that one all-time high and people want to see it go past above, because then they're seeing that, you know, original people who bought it are trusting it and they're coming back into the space.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where I come back to the idea of we're just really early. You know, there's a lot that needs to happen as far as trust, security, privacy, insurance. You know, knowing that if I put something here, you know, you put money in the bank and you know you're FDIC insured. You don't really have that with crypto.
Right.
So, you know, there has to be something that makes people feel like, okay, we're good. And I think that, you know, government regulation is something that does lead in the right direction. And like I said before, my main concern is that we lay the proper framework for that before we're just pushing through policies just to get anything through, just so that the bags pump.
Right. And I think same goes too. I think more people there should be better tools to store your own crypto. Because I think another reason why these cryptos are so volatile, and you can look at on-chain data to back this up, is the fact that when everybody holds their coins on exchanges, they can move it around, they can do what they want. For instance, they can actually sell the coins that 1,000 people are holding to dump the market. And if these people want to cash out, they have enough fiat available to cash them out. So it's a mimic. You know, you could log into your Coinbase and it says that you have, you know, 1,000 XRP or 100 XRP, but they can sell your XRP and the number will stay there because they have the fiat reserves to pay you out if you want to cash out. And when people leave their money in exchanges, it allows them to move it around and manipulate the market. So I genuinely believe that if more people started holding more of their coins on their on private, you know, ledgers, wallets, I think there would be more stability in the market and more trust because you see how Bitcoin's price starts pumping when exchanges move their Bitcoin back into a wallet, because that signals that they're not selling in the immediate short term.
Right.
So if everybody started moving more of their crypto over to wallets, that's trackable. You know, it would show some strength, stability in the market, especially whales. I think that's what we need to see, more adoption and tools towards holding your own crypto.
What's up, Satoshi? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right. What's going on?
It's good to see you, man. We got about 6 minutes before our guest comes on, so I'll let you say what you wanted to say, buddy.
Oh, that was Scotty Dog. What are we talking about? Moving your crypto to cold storage, or?
Oh, let me invite Scotty Dog up here real quick. So yeah, we're talking about regulation, basically. So we're having the president of Stand With Crypto come on in just a few minutes, and we're gonna talk about emailing our senators and basically getting people that advocate for crypto. All right, Scotty Dog, what's going on, brother?
Going on, Oz? What's up, boys?
And Run Up, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, what's good, Oz? Thanks for having me up. And
Absolutely.
Hey, everyone on the panel.
And if you guys want to stay up on the panel while we have the guest is going to be through Discord. And if you guys have questions throughout the interview, you guys are more than welcome to stay up and be a part of it. But Scotty, you want to go ahead?
No, I mean, I'll just sum up kind of my thoughts on this. Recently, I think we forget that crypto's still a toddler. And being that, I just do the analogy that when you look at a toddler, sure, you can have aspirations and thoughts of what that child is going to become, but you don't know. It takes a lot of investment and a lot of effort and a lot of commitment to guide and support. And I think maybe that's something you're getting at, where it's almost like everybody's a lot of the people in crypto right now that could be doing something to make a difference are sitting back and letting the foundational part of crypto, the decentralized, the ability to try and do something and have control yourself, slip away. And that's what I meant by my comment in the chat. We're like lab rats just waiting for the players to use us to fine tune their takeover.
You know, one sentiment I've noticed when I bring up this subject is people say, well, the institutions are just going to do what they're going to do already. The big money's already got their hands in it. There's nothing we can do. And I think that that's very wrong. And that's why I'm really excited about this guest coming on, because I feel like this is an opportunity where we can have our voices heard. We can do something about it. You don't necessarily have to go and click this and use their predetermined letter. You can write a letter to your senator. You can write a letter to your congressman. You can get involved. Your voice can be heard. If 10 of us all emailed our congressman, that would create a ripple effect. You think that it doesn't matter, but it does, especially with primaries coming up. This is our opportunity to actually make a difference, because when primaries come up, they're afraid. You know, this is your one opportunity to have your voice be heard.
100%.
You don't want to be the person that doesn't even give a voice and then complaining about it after.
Yeah, and that's the majority of people. People want it to just be done for them. They just want it to happen for them. They don't want to literally click a website right here. It's this easy. Name, last name, email, address. Click your senator's name, and then they have a thing, and then boom, click send. It's that easy. It's that freaking easy, but you know, who's actually doing it? And it seems like the people, the sentiment is there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can say. They're not going to listen to me. Run Up, did you have any thoughts real quick before I pull up Miss Nifty and we give her a chance to talk, and then I'll give you guys an opportunity to ask questions if you like?
Nope.
All right. So let's give her a call and oh shoot. We do video call. Let's get her on the show here. There we go. Like we're connecting. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
We're doing great. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. I've been having a great time listening to you for the last hour, chatting with the community, listening to the questions and concerns and things that they're doing and reading and seeing.
Absolutely. So, who are you? What do you do?
I am Carrie Miss Nifty Lynn. I am the president of Stand with Crypto California. I also am the founder of Learnville, which is an ed tech platform that provides education on 4 pillars to underserved communities nationwide. And those 4 pillars are financial literacy, mental health, Web3, and innovative career paths.
That's wonderful. And so tell me about Stand with Crypto and what it is, what's your mission, and what are you guys trying to do?
Sure. Stand with Crypto is a nonprofit collectively supported by the most reputable Web3 companies that exist. Its purpose is to deliver the message from the people to the policymakers to ensure that we have regulations, we have ideas and suggestions, and the foresight provided to our policymakers who have no career paths in Web3, but they have constituents that are very concerned about what is and isn't happening and what is coming in the future.
And so what is it that you guys are advocating? Because obviously you heard the sentiment here. We want regulation, but we don't want too much regulation.
And that is the point, right? We want to make sure that we're safe. We know that the government is not going to come and attack us. We won't be sued for something. And it's a safe space for us. However, we don't want them to say, well, now you can't invest in anything you want to, and we can freeze your accounts anytime you want to. You had a guest on there talking about that specific thing, right? If they know who you are and you KYC in a bank, if you will, right? A custodial account, and you move it over to a non-KYC account, and then you send it over, like, can they freeze it or what will they do with it? And that is a big concern. And so that's a part of the message that we deliver to policymakers.
I love that.
And so, yeah, it's imperative. And we've gone through this last year and a half between constituents and policymakers to deliver messages in order to get through to the Genius Act and to the Clarity Act, which we're still working on very heavily. I will be back in DC next week talking to Congress and Congress members in regards to this. We want this taken care of. We want to feel safe. We want to know that we can start new businesses, we can launch new products, and we're not going to be worried about the government coming after us. And that's one of the things that the Clarity Act will give us, is a safe harbor period when you're starting a new business and you don't know what category you necessarily fit in. And you know, as an entrepreneur or anybody who's starting a new business, you have all of these different ideas, and you start with one idea and you go through this, you know, all of these different things. When you learn knowledge and then it changes a little bit of your goals for that business, and it shifts here, here, and here, and here, you don't want to live in that fear that the government's going to come after you as you're growing your new business in this new innovative space that there's not a lot of regulation around.
Yeah, my like I said, and obviously you were listening, my biggest concern is being like debanked, being unable to access or use my crypto. Also, one of my concerns is overreach. And one of the things that I'd like to see more or less with crypto as far as regulation goes is obviously we need to have some sort of okay, this is the baseline right here, right? These are things you can and you can't do, right? So that there's some kind of control and regulation, but not so much for the people, but more or less for the exchanges. And to see more of like a constitution for crypto than less of like legislation, to where basically the Constitution is in place to protect us, the people, from the government. And basically that would be the same concept, is a way to protect us, the people, from the government's overreach into crypto. That's something I'd like to see.
What would you see in a crypto constitution?
What do you mean, what guidelines?
Correct, right? Because you're using blockchain. So there's not a lot that you can really say, you can't do this, you can't do this, because everything is so transparent, you can find it. And if they are in control of stablecoins, for example, right, they are going to be responsible for what's going on and how they're operating and who's able to launch stablecoins.
Yeah, I think that there should be regulation for those that launch stablecoins. Like, I don't think I have any business launching my own goat coin or something like that. You know what I mean? But I think if Walmart and Amazon and all these different corporations are going to launch their own stablecoins, there needs to be some sort of oversight to basically not charge people, because if everyone's got their own stablecoin and I've got USDC and now I got to transfer it from Amazon and now I got to transfer it to Walmart or whatever. Now we're talking about a new type of service charge, right? So I think that's one issue that needs to be addressed.
By the way, I'm taking note.
Absolutely. And if you want to, we can get together. I'd love to write a constitution and have something that we could put together. This is obviously something we can't throw together on a 1-hour podcast, but I'd love to work on it.
Something that I've kind of toyed around with, along with some other organizations, is like a AAA, if you will, right? So certain hotels are rated, 5 diamond or star, I think it's diamond, 4 diamond, etc. That companies and tokens would be issued based on where they hit the mark on the prerequisites to be, credible, versus it's not really stable. Maybe this is just something that's going to come and go really swiftly. But that organization or association would be created by the people, which could do what you're talking about, right? Create this for the people crypto constitution and create this association